All right, guys, it is Friday night. I almost feels like almost like Friday night, like fight night type of deal, but it's not. We're talking today all about how to wholesale foreclosure properties, and I have spent a ton of time on this subject. I would definitely say I'm an expert on it. I have done probably over 1,000 deals like this alone, and today we are going to deep dive into the actual steps to wholesaling a house in foreclosure. And I'm specifically going to share with you all the stuff no gurus were going to tell you about it. So there's so many things you have to know for a house in foreclosure. And remember, we have 50 different states, and I'm going to tell you what to look for in your state to make sure you protect your deal. I've lost really good deals because I didn't do some of this stuff, and I don't want you to make the same mistake. But the good news is wholesaling is perfect for foreclosures. I will tell you, you have to be, what's the best word? You've got to be a real human being because you get people in very difficult positions, and you're not here to take advantage of them. You're actually here to help them and lift them up. So if you subscribe that theory today is going to be extremely valuable for you, because I'm going to go into all the stuff that nobody talks about on foreclosures and the stuff that you have to understand and to protect yourself and really protect the owner. So if you guys know how this works, I'm going to be on here for about 2 hours. So I'm going to take about the first 30, 40 minutes and do the teaching thing. And we're going to go all about wholesaling foreclosures. And I got a lot of experience. I got 20 years in this, and I'll walk you through it. I'm dealing with stuff right now on it. And let me see here. You guys have the chat here. So guys, introduce yourselves. Tell us what market you're in and connect with some of these people. Remember, make sure everybody lives up to the expectations. Make sure you set the expectations. And why not? Because if you're taking your Friday evening and sit here and talk to me, you guys know I'm here every Friday evening. It just works. So put your questions in there and I'll bring them up. And then I already got people lining up for the lives. That is awesome. It's perfect. I try to take you in order you come. Just go to the Wholesaling Houses for Real, and the link is going to should be pegged up in the top of it on how to get into that. And guys, for those of you, like, I feel real bad because I can only take so many people. We don't have so much time. Monday nights, I've done an expansion on this. I go live on Monday night at 8 p.m. for some of the East Coast people. That's Eastern time. And I got a lot more time there. So jump on the Rick Ginn YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to it. And then I will do the lives just as much as we do there. And also, my son Zach is doing Sunday nights. I'm not sure of the exact time. I think he did 10 p.m., 9 or 10 p.m. Eastern last Sunday. But guys, 6 nights a week. So nobody else gives you this kind of like help and love. And the really cool thing about our lives is we don't hold back. Most people that answer lives, they're going to give you generic answers, because if they gave you the real answer, that would give their course away. And it always ends up, hey, if you buy my course, I'll show you how to do this. We remove that for anything with wholesaling. You can ask anything you want. And if you actually want to work on a deal or anything like that, that's my favorite thing to do, like work on deals. It's an addiction I have, and that's why I'm here talking to you guys. So guys, use the comment box, hop on the lives. We are talking about wholesaling foreclosures today. And do me a favor, if you like what you hear, smash that like button, hit subscribe, put your comments in there. Me and Zach, we read absolutely everything. We actually take a transcript on it, and we listen to your feedback on it. So that's the best way to do this. So if you guys are brand new to this channel, check us out at freewholesaling.com. It is the only 100% free wholesaling course to teach you how to make your first $100,000 in wholesaling real estate. There's no strings. There's no credit cards. Honestly, I've never seen anything like this. I am so proud of like what we're doing, what we got going on. And guys, I'm not here to take away from other gurus and coaches. I actually wish them the best, but I just think we need to change how we educate this industry. And the fact that we're doing this live stream, I'm connecting with people all over the world, says enough. So the information's all out there. You just got to get it from someone you trust and somebody that actually does this business. I think me and Zach, if you're just jumping in, don't worry about it. It's all recorded on the channel. And my whole thing with wholesaling is, if you're not going to have fun, don't do it. I tell you, life's too short I've dealt with way too many issues in the last few weeks. I'm talking about funerals and stuff like that. And guys, life is short. Take full advantage of it. Take care of your family. And the most important thing you have is your time on this earth. You've got to make it work for you. Okay. I gave up the first 33 years of my life thinking I was going to work for this corporate world and it was going to like fix all my problems, and it didn't. So that being said, I found wholesaling not until I was 33. I don't care how old you are. It doesn't matter. You have to have enthusiasm. You got to have fun. Guys, let's light it up. Let's get going, and we'll jump right into this.
Get the fuck out of bed, bitch. Go. Get up, again, they got go. Time to wake up, bitch, get up. Get up, bitch, get up.
See, that's what I'm talking about. Like, so I get like goosebumps like watching that. Like, I'm just a high energy person. I am self-diagnosed ADHD, whatever. Somebody put it in the comments in there. You know exactly what I'm talking about. I thought it was a curse when I was growing up. Every teacher told me it was a curse, and only to find out like 20 years later, it's probably my greatest gift God gave me, because I have the energy to sit here and do stuff like this. So last night I had a gentleman on here by the name of Terry, and dude, this guy's energy like blew me out of the water. It was so infectious and contagious. And I'm here to tell you, if you guys are young and you're inexperienced and you've never even done a deal, it's actually not a disadvantage to you. So what you lack in experience, you can more than make up with enthusiasm. And I will tell you, go back and watch the replay with me and Zach yesterday. It was towards the end. There's a gentleman by the name of Terry, and he was grateful for life, grateful for everything. Everything was fantastic. And the guy was going out there taking massive action. And that's what I'm here to tell you. So when you get on these lives, let's try to solve problems and get you solutions. I know there's a lot of issues when it comes to wholesaling and really anything in life, but you want to use this time to try to solve problems, because just complaining is not, I'm not here to sympathize with you, and I'm not going to let you do it. I need you to take action to move forward. So we only get so much time together. So without further ado, let's jump in to wholesaling foreclosures. I said we take about 30 minutes and then we'll jump into the live. So if that's okay with you guys, let me pull it up here. Where is it? Let's see what we got. Okay. So the first thing you do when dealing with foreclosure, especially wholesaling, is you have to understand the process. Okay. So a lot of you hear terms thrown around. You hear the word pre-foreclosure and you hear the word foreclosure. So if you want to put in the comments, it's kind of like a learning exercise, is tell me what you think the difference between the two is, because you have to understand these definitions, because I find a lot of people, they don't understand the difference and they use the words interchangeably. And you can get away with it for a while, but it's going to catch up to you, because if you don't understand the difference, it's hard to help people out not knowing if they're in pre-foreclosure or in foreclosure. So go ahead and put in the comments of like what you think the difference is, and let's help people out here. So I know the difference because unfortunately I've had to sit down and be confronted with lawyers and judges with it. So and yes, Justin, we'll talk about nods as well too. So I'm just talking about the basics of understanding the difference between pre-foreclosure and foreclosure. It is so important to understand it. So Kevin says 30 to 90 days late to pre-foreclosure, 90-day plus foreclosure. And honestly, it's a pretty good rule. It's not exact, but Kevin's pretty much dead on. So Kaylin says pre-foreclosures before the foreclosure. Yeah, that's not wrong either. That's pretty good too. Um, Brandon says, oh, I missed it. Brandon says pre-house hasn't been set for auction. Kind of true. So let's see here. Sean says foreclosures when the mortgage owner is in the process of seizing the property. And so to be honest with you, all your answers here, they're actually right, but let's give you some definitive like legal definitions so you understand, because sometimes sellers will tell you, I'm in pre-foreclosure, I'm in pre-nod, I'm in foreclosure. So you have to quickly assess this, because the biggest challenge is when you get a foreclosure lead is identifying what processes it's in. Because I'm here to tell you, there's issues with foreclosures, and if you don't catch it at the right time, it's a nightmare. So the worst thing you can do is attack a foreclosure and find out there's nothing you can do. And I did this all the time in the beginning, and I'm going to show you exactly how you can catch these, because there are certain types of foreclosures, there's not a lot you can do. And I'm going to show you which one. So I'm going to pull up a graphic here. Let me clear this off of here. So guys, we're going to go over pre-foreclosure and foreclosure. So let me pull up a graphic I have. I'm going to put it on the screen. Let me make this. Hopefully you guys can see it. Don't ask me to zoom it in, because, well, I'll probably kill the entire live stream if I do that. So, so it's understanding, and a pre-foreclosure is basically when in the first, as the gentleman said before in the live, he was accurate, anything within the first 3 months. So when you get a mortgage, like you close on the property, it was happy, 30 days later, you owe a note payment. So if it's $2,000 a month, you pay $2,000. If you miss 1 month, you get a nasty notice in the mail, you get some late penalties. And then when you miss 2 months, the letters get much harder, and you're probably going to get a phone call. If you miss the 3rd month, you're going to get I call it a pink letter, but it's sometimes red depending on which bank you get it from. And they're telling you, hey, this is your final notice. If you don't do something about, we are going to file a legal action against you. This is your final warning. So that's it. So the sweet spot on pre-foreclosure is basically someone that is behind between 1 month and 3 months. Okay. Now, there's a certain percentage of foreclosures where people are missing 1 month payments all the time. I never panic on one payment. Like, people can skip a payment, or meaning just people have stuff going in life. When it goes to 2 and 3 months, the problem is if you can't afford 1 month, you definitely can't afford 3 months. So if 1 month's 2,000 and say you miss 3 payments, that's 6,000 plus the new payment coming up. This is how they snowball, and people feel like it gets out of control. So you've got to understand the process of how it works. So in that 1 to 3 months, you're not even in the pre-foreclosure state. So you kind of are, but you're not. So from a legal definition is basically you're getting very hard letters from the bank. Your credit's getting trashed, and the bank is threatening you with all sorts of legal action. And that's, most people freak out. And then hopefully if you're marketing these people, that's when they connect with you. I love when somebody calls me within 3 months behind, because it's very manageable. If I want to take over the payments, I want to do anything like that, I have options. When someone calls you and they're like, I had someone do a JV with me and they were 14 months behind on a $2,000 payment. It's a lot of money. That's $28,000 just to get it right. And then the house needed repairs and everything else. So it's critical you identify what stage of foreclosure they're in. So in the beginning, when they're just running late, that's my favorite time to catch them. Now, when you move over to the pre-foreclosure window, basically a notice of default is filed, also called an NOD. And it's basically a public record saying, we got a problem. And it's really designed to scare the homeowner, which is rightfully so. If you sign the mortgage, you should probably pay it anyways. But that starts the beginning actions so the bank can try to recuperate the property. Okay. So once you do a notice of default, now you're in the pre-foreclosure. this is usually when the bank's going to reach out to you and try to do all sorts of fun stuff. So in the pre-foreclosure process, this is when the bank's going to reach out and say, listen, can we do a loan modification? What if we adjust this and do that? And listen, that's great. And I'm going to walk you through all that. But most bank adjustments, they try to work with you, like a forbearance, all this other stuff. They're all usually disasters in the end. So they have like somewhere between a 60 and 70% failure ratio, and it's by design. So as you move from left to right on this chart, we're walking through the process, and a lot of you are going to catch these right at the pre-foreclosure going into the formal foreclosure process, and you've got to understand this. So the sweet spot obviously is between that 1 to 3 months and before they set an auction date. Okay. So what happens is once they do a notice of default, then the bank's going to try to squeeze the homeowner one more time, like do this, or we're going to sue you in a foreclosure. And then what they do is they file a list pendants, and then a formal lawsuit is filed. And what the bank is trying to do is repossess the house so they can sell it to recoup the investor's money on it. Okay. Now, I'm telling you right now, the spot where you see where it says auction date set, that's where you've got to be really, really critical. And you're going to notice if you guys market the foreclosures, the people that call you the day the auction's set, their motivation's through the freaking roof. Like their motivation won't even seem like, hey, whatever, take the property, do whatever you got to do. The problem is their motivation is because they've waited till literally the last moment to do something. And honestly, I'm here to tell you, it's hard to help these people out. These are the same ones you tried to catch when they were 3 months behind. And depending on what state you are, we're going to talk about that. So in Florida, the average foreclosure takes about a year to 16 months if nobody really fights it. Okay. Now, it all depends on what type of state you're on. I'm going to go on that in a separate slide. So once they set that auction date, the motivation goes through the roof. But guess what? You can't do anything. What are you going to do? They've gone through the entire court process. No one's objected. The judge has signed, sealed, delivered, put a judgment against them, the whole 9 yards. So of course they want to sell it now. Now they're stuck because they're going to kick them out of the house. Here's the problem is you have to hire an attorney 9 times out of 10 to reset the court date, or you got to do some ridiculous, you can do a ridiculous technique where you have the homeowner file for bankruptcy, but to be honest with you, it gets fraudulent. And I've never, ever recommended that unless that's what the homeowner needs to do. Once you start doing stuff like that, you're talking, guys, anywhere from $1,500 to $5,000 to $6,000 of your expense to try to stop that auction date, and there's no guarantee. Do not mess around with them once an auction date's set unless you can close the thing like lightning fast. And most of the time, guys, when they get to this point, there's very little equity ever left in the house. And honestly, they usually owe more than the house is worth. Now, you'll see there's a time for a short sale window. I used to be the king of flipping short sales back in 2009 to 13. I'm here to tell you the short sale game has changed. It is messy. It's long. And the banks usually put a 90-day resale restriction on it. So if you think you're going to do a short sale and make it work, the problem is you got to own it 90 days for most of them. Any type of Fannie or Freddie Mac backed loan, they're going to put a 90-day restriction. Back when I did the Wild West, we had no restrictions. So we actually enjoyed short sales. Today, completely different story. So I wouldn't rely on that strategy alone. So let me pull this slide off. You guys take a picture. You can replay it. You can freeze the screen. But guys, once they start saying auction date, like do not let their motivation overly fool you. If the auction date's set within 30 days, you are going to most likely have to hire an attorney. And unless you have massive spread in the property, which you probably aren't, in my opinion, it's not worth it. Now, I'm here to tell you 75% of the people on your foreclosure list, they're going to wait till they get an auction date to call you because they procrastinated to that point. Don't waste your time when it gets to that point. It's very hard to help them out. And you're talking about a guy who has hired legal help and do all this stuff. It's 50-50 at best. And attorneys don't like to get involved in foreclosures. The laws, a lot of the precedents for the judges, you can't just throw an attorney at the last minute because you look really guilty. Okay. If you've had an attorney the entire time, it's a different process. But when you throw them in right for a court date, 9 times out of 10, the judge just kicks it out. He doesn't care. He knows what they're up to. So, and then when they find out that the investor hired the attorney, it gets really ugly. So actually, the homeowner has to hire him, and you have to pay for it. And for that reason, unless the attorney's representing you, do not bring him in. Attorney can advise you, but like you don't want to get stuck with like a legal bill. So let me get back on point here. I'm seeing your comment. So you guys know the difference with it. The next thing you need to understand is judicial versus non-judicial. Okay. You're like, what the heck is Rick talking about? There's two types of processes to file mortgages in the United States. So you're either in a judicial or non-judicial state. Guys, Google it. It's all there. Like, you don't need me to tell you. Florida is, in my opinion, is one of the easiest places to deal with it. So we're a judicial. So if you're judicial, it simply means that in order for the bank to repossess the property, they have to go through a formal foreclosure and go through the entire court system. A non-judicial is much more expedited, like in the state of Georgia, I believe Hawaii. You guys know which ones they are. Is the process is they don't even have to go through the court system, and a lot of them can be done in as little as 90 days. I found this out the hard way. So make sure you know what type of state you're in. It's really important, because if you're in a non-judicial state, the good news, bad news. The good news is they move fast. The bad news is they move fast. So if you have a homeowner that's dragging, it's not going to last long. So you've got to understand when you do that. In Florida, at the peak of the crisis, it was taking 3 to 4 years to foreclose on a property. Now they're down to like just over a year. So in a non-judicial, it moves much, much, much faster. So here's the thing that nobody ever talks about. Did you know in all 50 states, you have statutes on the book protecting the homeowner for their rights when they're in a distressed property situation? The definition of a distressed property situation is when they're behind on bills, when they're behind on a lien holder that has a judgment, that has a lien against the house. So in the state of Florida, if you are behind, and so I go and set an appointment and meet with the homeowner, I'm a wholesaler. It doesn't matter if I'm a wholesaler or a realtor, anything. By the way, if you're a realtor, you're held to a much higher standard when you deal with somebody in foreclosure. You don't believe me? Look up the laws. It's one of the reasons I tell you guys, do not get a real estate license unless that's what you want to be a real estate agent, because it's going to even make you more liable. So in the state of Florida, I'm not going to go through all 50 states. If somebody signs a contract with me, they have 3 days to cancel for any reason they want. And here's my rule in foreclosures, okay? If somebody wants out of a contract in foreclosure, talk to them. Worst comes to worst, just let them out. You do not have the power to file an affidavit. None of that's going to work in these situations. You need their 100% cooperation. Do not try to strong arm somebody in foreclosure, because you can get a hefty fine for it. So in the state of Florida, we have a disclosure. We let them know they have a 3-day right to cancel the contract for any reason, anytime. We make sure they're completely sober. They're of sound mind. They've had a chance to review it with an attorney if they want. I don't share my paperwork because I'm not an attorney on this. So simply, guys, what I want you to do is you look up your statutes for foreclosures. So they have rights when they're in foreclosure. And then they also have rights if the bank winds up putting the house for sale. They have like a right of redemption and stuff like that. So in Florida, there's very, very tiny window. I think 48 hours, and you have to have like a ridiculous claim. Some of the other states, though, it can be as long as like people have up to like a year to buy the property back, like some crazy laws. So understand what you're getting into. And remember, that's only if the bank forecloses and then takes the property back. So I'm not a lawyer and expert, but I'm just here to tell you, you have to know what your disclosures are for your states. You're not particularly concerned with what the rights are when the bank takes it back, because you're not going to be there for that. But if you enter into a contract with a homeowner that's in distress, make sure that you've disclosed everything you possibly can. And sometimes disclosure is just writing an addendum in your contract. That's what I did in the beginning, and then we got a little bit more formal about it. Now, If you guys are a licensed realtor, you have to go way above what I'm talking about. And I'm not even going to advise you how to do it because you're at massive risk, in my opinion, as a licensed real estate agent trying to buy a house in foreclosure because you've signed a fiduciary responsibility. And honestly, it's going to be a constant conflict no matter how you fight this matter. This is why I tell you guys, getting licensed can actually fog the mirror much worse. And you guys were sold it was supposed to clear the mirror for you. And I'm here to tell you, it, in my opinion, it doesn't. I have been called to question on foreclosures and they want to know if I had a license and I didn't. Luckily, the homeowner was cooperative and I took care of the homeowner and it wasn't an issue, but I'm just telling you, they can go after your broker, they go after a license, they can go after the errors and omissions insurance. It's so easy to penetrate a licensed realtor. It's one of the reasons I don't think you should get your license, particularly if you're going to be a wholesaler, unless that's the business model you want to do. Okay. So the next part is we're getting to wholesaling on it is you have to set up the expectations with the homeowner. If they call me, hey, listen, the property's in auction 30 days, I'll do whatever you have to do. My expectation, I go, listen, I'll take a look at it, but honestly, I don't think it's going to work. I tell them up front, I'll take a look. I'll run it by my lawyer and see what we can do. Unless you're willing, and here's what I say, you ready? Unless you're willing to hire an attorney to try to save it off, I don't think I can work with you. Because I've paid for the attorney. Guys, I'm telling you, it's disappointing. Like most of the time, the attorney goes, there's nothing I can do. Even when I paid him $1,000, $1,500 to file a motion. So, and anybody who tells you to have the homeowner file for bankruptcy just to avoid the sale, in my opinion, it's fraud. It's not, it's ridiculous. If they were a case for bankruptcy, they would have done it from the get-go or like a couple months into it, not right before it. It's very transparent and you don't want to be associated with it. So set the expectation. So if they call you in the beginning, I'm highly flexible with them. I want to meet with them and I want to hear their situation. They call me at the end. Are you willing to hire an attorney to delay the foreclosure process? 9 times out of 10 guys, they don't have money to do it and they're asking you to do it. I'm not going to do it. Now, unless it's a really smoking property and it's one I need, it's really hard to do. And then, by the way, I've done contracts with a property under auction for 30 days, and it always comes down to the day. And I usually have to hire a lawyer to go to the court to try to stop it, because trying to get the final payoff it's like to get a payoff for a property going to auction typically takes 2 to 4 weeks minimum. It's not like your standard like payoff on a mortgage on the deal. So, okay, I'm looking at the comments. I'm going to finish up here and I'll go over everything on that. So make sure you set the expectations up in the beginning. So remember, we always talk to you guys about preconditioning the seller. It's no difference in foreclosure. You have to be highly flexible and they got to be completely committed to doing the deal. So listen, if they tell you the property's coming up for auction and you're brand new to this or even experienced, just understanding you're probably not going to spend a lot of time with that customer because they've procrastinated to like till the very, very last day. Okay. So we've gone over disclosures. So it's important in the expectations. The biggest challenge people have when meeting with you, when their house is in foreclosure, this is the one thing they all tell me. Okay. Thousands of people, ready? They don't want to be judged. And you've got to understand that. You can't judge them, even though like it's kind of natural. I'm like, you don't pay your mortgage, this happens. And I let them know I'm not here to judge you. I'm just here to help you. So if you tell them that in your expectations, it helps out a lot. Guys, remember they called you, you're loyal to them. I'm not a big fan of the banks anyways. You know how I feel about them. They pay us no money. They lend our money out at like, much higher interest rates. And like most of my accounts, I don't even get paid any type of interest. Like you're lucky just not to even lose your money in the bank these days, it feels like. So they don't want to be judged. So here's the most important part you have to understand is when you come, so you meet with somebody in foreclosure, hopefully they're not at the auction set date, and now you're going to qualify them. Go, Rick, I'm going to rip through the 4 qualifying questions. It doesn't work when they're in foreclosure. Okay. The sale price, kind of irrelevant at this point, to a point. You know what I'm talking about. The timing, that not, once again, the house is getting into foreclosure. The condition, okay, that's a qualifying factor. And then their motivation, you already know what it is. So there's only 1 out of 4 that need to be verified when we do our traditional qualifying. So if you get stumped in this part, like nobody tells you this. So here's how you qualify somebody that's in foreclosure. Okay. You walk them through the a lot of times I walk them through the day they bought to the house to the point of where they've gotten to right now. Let them tell that story, and I promise you, you'll probably have 10 pages of notes. If you I don't take notes, I mentally take the notes because I don't want to scare people with paperwork. That's your qualifier. Like, you don't have to go in the traditional 4 questions because you already know 3 of the 4 questions. Okay. It's so important. The other thing you have to watch in foreclosure is if somebody bought the property a year ago and they only put down 2 or 3% and they haven't made like 6 months payment, unless something crazy's happened in your market, there's most likely no money in the deal. And I don't want you wasting time with those people. It doesn't mean you can't help them out, but you can't refer them to a realtor because that's just going to make the problem worse. But you might be able to have them walk through a forbearance or anything like that. So when I'm going through the qualifying process, I put everything on the table. I let them tell the story because you got to hear it from them. And then they're going to walk through, I lost my job. And then this happened to my husband had a stroke. And then the bank called us and they offered us to do a loan modification. And we tried that. It didn't work out. And then we talked to like a few realtors. And by the way, if they don't bring it up, you walk them through it. Just get all the options out of the way because in the end, in foreclosure, if you're not the only solution, you're not going to get a good deal. Okay. So when you qualify people in wholesale and for wholesaling foreclosures is walk them through the process from the day they bought it to the day they're having a problem and called you. And honestly, it's going to answer 95% of your questions. The only one sometimes I walk into like the condition of the property. And most of the foreclosures I buy, they're in decent shape. They're not horrible shape. Some are really bad, but the ones they're living in, for the most part, are in really good shape. Okay. Now, here's another rule in foreclosures: you will never ever, and you got to repeat this one, never ever promise to have them live in the house after you buy it. It's a you can't do it. You break so many rules. There's actually, if you went to evict that person, you would actually have huge challenges. Okay. I see people do it all the time. Oh, I'm going to buy it and you can stay in the house 90 days. I just knew somebody personally, they went through this. He lived in the house for 2 years afterwards. Guys, you can't afford to have people in the house unless that's something you want to do. That has nothing to do with wholesaling. That's fix and flipper stuff. But it's hard to evict the original homeowner, especially when you bought it like right before a foreclosure. So keep that in mind. We're almost done, guys. I'm going to answer all your questions. Deficiency judgments. You got to understand this because a lot of people will go like this. This is a lot of the objection we get. Well, Rick, you know what? It's such a hassle. I'm just going to let the bank foreclose on the house. I don't care. I don't care about the equity. Okay. So if they don't care about the equity, how do you overcome that objection? And it's simple. You got to talk about the deficiency judgment. So if they bought the house for $300,000, okay, and say they owed $300,000 on it, maybe the bills racked up, they put down 3 to 5%, and say the house went down, the house is trading like 250 now. Okay. By the time they put all the lawyer's fees and the back payments on it, they're going to add another 20 grand to it. There's going to be a $70,000 deficiency. Okay. So if they walk away and let the bank foreclose on it, which people do this all the time, the $70,000, they get a notice. I forget the name of it. I don't know if they get like a 1099. I think it's 1099-C. So I'm not an accountant, and then basically they owe that money and they have to pay taxes on it. So can you imagine if you don't have money and then you get a $70,000 tax bill, and for the average person, 70 grand is going to push you over that basic threshold, and you're going to owe somewhere 15 to 20%, depending on how much money you make. So that means you're going to owe $14,000 to the IRS when it's all said and done. So you thought it into the foreclosure, but it winds up in there. So when they say, listen, Rick, I don't care about the equity and stuff like that, I always say this: are you concerned about the deficiency judgment you might get against you? And they're like, what are you talking about? I go, well, here's the problem is you've racked up a bill. They're going to sell the house for whatever the market says, and whatever the difference is, you're responsible for it. They're like, well, I can't pay that. I'm like, it doesn't matter. Not only are you going to be taxed on it, you have to pay this, and they'll put a judgment on you. And if you have a regular 9 to 5 job, they'll go garnish your wages. They will chase you down till the end of time to get the money. So a lot of times, if you do a foreclosure correctly, you can help mitigate a deficiency judgment just by working with the bank and trying to help them out. So as of lately, this hasn't been as big of an issue, but going forward, it's going to be a huge issue. So if they go, I don't care about the equity, I'm like, well, you concerned about a deficiency judgment? Think about it. If they walk away from the house and it gets trashed or somebody breaks into it, it just lowers the value of the house. And whatever the bank has to spend on fixing up the house, they just bill you for it. So last but not least, I'm almost done. I'm going to do all the questions here. Wholesaling foreclosures is a procrastination monster. Everybody in foreclosure has a procrastination excuse. Okay. Honestly, the only one that holds weight to this are tax delinquency people. And listen, when you owe a lot of people money, you get good at avoiding people. So I've had bill collectors when I was a lot younger. I got really good at avoiding them. It just the biggest problem you're going to have in a foreclosure is when they just can't make a decision. They just feel frozen. Okay. The great part is you can wholesale a foreclosure just like you do regularly. The only difference is how you qualify them, the disclosures, and making sure you're catching them at the right time. Okay. As far as wholesaling the foreclosure, you actually get a lot of time to do it. The challenge is never getting your buyer to like move. You actually have to have like a 90-day window with them. And most people know that with foreclosure. The challenge is always getting the homeowner to move out of the house. It's very, very hard. And honestly, that's where I get the most resistance. So this is where the procrastination monster comes in. You just got to learn to talk to people and walk them down a funnel and let them know if they don't do anything, they've already made a decision and the inevitable is going to happen. And you're going to allow a lot of tears, a lot of crying, a lot of swearing, and you just kind of get used to it after a while. But that's it, guys. I mean, as far as wholesaling a foreclosure, it's really the same process you do with the rest of your houses. You just got to do a lot more care with the seller, and you have to catch them at the right time. I had somebody call me the other day, 2 days before the auction. I'm like, I'm sorry. I wish you called me earlier. She goes, you did. You like one of your people came out and met with me. I just blew them off. I'm like, well, our follow-up must have been terrible. She goes, no, you guys called me like 36 times. I just waited till the very end. So it just, that's the challenge you have with foreclosure. So you got to be very patient. And by the way, I didn't put this in the slides, but it is like drama city. You will get a lot of drama, but it does get very entertaining. And as I said, you got to kind of make this fun. So Brandon says, how do we convince a homeowner that they do not need a deed to sell the property without going through probate? So the first step, Brandon, is get the homeowner, the potential prospect, to reach out to you. So what I recommend is either you do the letter, which I provide you the exact free letter. I want you guys to mix it up a little bit because I don't want everybody using the same letter, because I had a problem years ago with that, especially in my local market. Thank you, everybody. And the idea is to just give them a teaser. So I say, listen, I'm interested in buying a house on this street, yada, yada. I buy houses for cash, and I'm actively looking to buy in this neighborhood. And by the way, I noticed the house is in probate. Did you know you could sell the house and cut through the red tape of probate? Give me a call and I can share the details with you. I don't tell them how to do it. I tell them to call me that I can do it. And that's the key. Once you have that, understanding how the law works for probates, there is no requirement that says you cannot buy the property until the probate's over. It doesn't exist. It's complete BS. So the strategy is, if you strike a contract with the personal representative of the estate for that probate, you now have a direct relationship and you have control. Okay. Now, is the attorney going to have to review and everything? Yeah. But like, once you have a contract, the attorney doesn't have anything to say to you. They can't screw it up for you. They can delay it, but they can't control it. The other way around, if you let the attorney control everything, they're going to want to get appraisals. Why? Because that's how they make extra money. They want to do property management, and they want to wait till the property transfers from probate, meaning it goes from the deceased to the new heirs. And guess what? If you do that, if you wait till then they might as well just take it to open market and you're not as attractive as a wholesaler anymore. The reason people want to sell and do it this way is just because they can move on with their lives. So if you've ever sold someone's property that's passed away, like you're not familiar with it, maybe you are, but like you've got a life going on and they don't want to pay the mortgage. They don't want to mow the grass. They don't want to shovel the snow. They don't want to pay the insurance. All probates have a element where you can actually petition the court to liquidate the asset. And they do that on purpose because they know real estate is a long process to sell and it drains the estate. So say they sell the property, they sell it for $100,000. Most states don't require approval. It just needs consent of the buyer and the seller. The judge will look it over. And if he has any objections, he'll ask, say, hey, why is it selling so cheap? Then we just show him the pictures and everything like that. He goes, okay, I get it. Like they don't want you to give away the properties, but I've never had a judge ever question any of my probates in the state of Florida. Other states I've been challenged on it. And for that reason, attorneys want control because if they can control it, they can drag the bills on. And listen, I've had attorneys try to cut me out and buy my probates that I was under contract with. I'm actually engaged in a lawsuit right now where the attorney sued me to get the contract canceled. And then they went back and they bought it behind my back. And we filed suit because it's at the least he's going to lose his license. So I'm not even supposed to be talking about it, but it is what it is. So the key here, Brandon, is they can sell the property before the probate's done. Now, when the estate gets that $100,000, it might sit in account for 3 or 4 months till the estate is wrapped up. But here's the key. Why would they do that? Because they're not paying the mortgage. They're not paying the utilities. They're not mowing the lawn, and they don't have to look and take care of that property anymore. And they know it's done. And for that reason is the reason they do it. So I appreciate the super chat. I hope that helps you out. Let me know if you got any other questions. So Adrian says, how do I get around a POF? You don't. So what I need you to do is go over to freewholesaling.com, and we particularly on how to address this. Guys, I'm not looking to have you scam. The proof of funds, if you do it correctly, if you don't have your own money, you need to align yourself with a hard money, a soft money partner. A soft money is maybe friends or family that'll give it to you for a secured interest in the property, or go get a cash partner. Okay. And if you can get a cash partner, or you can go get a cash buyer and use their proof of funds to validate your POF. So Adrian, that's a quick way to do it, but go over to freewholesaling.com. I teach you how to do the whole thing. And guys, if you really, really need a good cash partner to work with you, then let me know. Me and Zach JV with people. We've done plenty of deals. I've made people a lot of money. Here's the condition, guys. I want to partner with you guys. And if you want direct access to me, Zach, and my team, submit a deal. But you've got to follow the directions. We get a lot of deals submitted. I'm going to tell you right off the bat if it's a deal or not. If it's not a really good deal, don't be surprised if it doesn't get approved. I don't charge you like other people do to submit a deal. It's 100% for free. But if you want that extra layer of working with us one-on-one, this is the best way to do it because you get to earn and learn. Nobody else offers this. Guys, bring me the love. I promise you, I will make you very happy if you bring us a good deal. And we just split it 50-50, like no games in between. It's straight up. And we love to do it. So if you need a cash partner, that'll help you out with that. Let me get back to questions on this. Uh-oh, I missed that one. Okay, I'm going to go back. Let's see here. Okay, so I love when you guys answer the questions. You make my life easier because I'm solo here today. So unless Zach's here, I'm usually solo. So Raj asks, how do you deal with homeowners in denial? Well, it's a special river. You go down to denial. Listen, you can't make people, it's like dragging the horse. You can't make them drink to it. So like, don't make them. The only thing that can fix somebody in denial is time and circumstances. So all you can do is follow up and go back. When I have a foreclosure person goes, listen, I need $100,000 in my pocket and you need to set me up with a new place. And if you don't do this, I'm not doing a deal with you. I'm like, there's no money in it. Like, I don't even know if I can buy the house. If like they're that far off, I just say move on. So Jason's asking about my shirt. It's actually just a brand. I think my wife bought it for me, so I kind of like some of their clothing line. So it's not. I used to have a bird dog program. I just decided I wanted to stick to wholesaling and not be a programmer. So, guys, anybody who has to investors that develop software, it's painful because I'm not a software guy and I don't want to be. So it has nothing to do with that. I appreciate the question on it. So I'm not sure what you're referring to, Brad, on upload this to the website. So if you need to check and refer back to these videos, you can just go over to YouTube, Flip with Rick Ginn, or Zach Ginn. So oh boy, these comments are funny. So okay, so let's jump into the lives. I'm going to jump in with Rebecca because I saw her waiting yesterday. How you doing, Rebecca?
Good. How are you? Sorry.
Okay. How you doing?
Good. Sorry, I was trying to do a phone call with one of my cold calls.
I can't tell when you're on the phone. So it's like, so guys, if I come to you and you're tied up and it's urgent, just don't respond and I'll come back to you one more time. And after that, I'll listen. I get it. You guys are waiting. So I appreciate it. So how can I help you out? What's going on?
So just a couple questions. I know that Zach went over the other day with batch leads, or not, with prop stream, sorry. And I was trying to pull pre-foreclosures,
Okay.
but a lot of them say auction. And so I don't want to pull those just after what you said today.
Yeah. So here's the problem. Like, listen, I love prop stream, makes your life super convenient, but when it comes to foreclosure and stuff like that, like their hands are tied by the speed they get the information from the county. So I understand because I see it all the time. It's not always accurate. That's the challenge with it. So it's not, if an auction date's set, the easiest way to do it is, so if you're dealing in one particular county, the best way to like cover yourself is just you can pull up the county auction site.
Okay.
And they, like in my county, they schedule them 2 to 3 months in advance. Like it's not, if they're on that list, we're like, it's just tough because think about this. If you're a judge and you've been handling a foreclosure for 6 or 9 months, no one's responded once. No one's ever showed up to court, never seen a lawyer. And then he passes a judgment down and sets an auction date. And all of a sudden a lawyer comes out of the woodworks. It's going to be tough. The judge is going to make that lawyer work extra hard, which means it's going to cost money. And that's the challenge. So you can do this one of two ways. You can scrape them against your list and see if that works. Or you just do the shotgun approach. Just call everybody and ask them the basic question where they are. Just find out where they are in the foreclosure process. And they say they're close to a sale date. The writing's on the wall. Anything 30 days or less on a sale date, unless you have a phenomenal amount of equity and you really want that property, it's not worth the fight. There are some properties I paid an attorney up to $5,000 to stall the foreclosure. But by the way, it's no guarantee. The judge just say, listen, you haven't done it. I'm sorry. End of story. So the problem when you use services, and listen, PropStream is wonderful for filtering the list. It's just whenever you get the foreclosures, nothing as good as the county information. So here's how I look at it. Just like when I look at like the vacants, when I do vacants in listrai.com and PropStream, I know they're not perfect. I don't care. It's a shotgun approach and it gives me lots of leads. And sometimes it's cheaper just to rip through the phone calls than try to sort and filter the stuff, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So you got to decide which. Now, if you had a big team, you could have all that pre-sorted, but you don't want to spend thousands of dollars doing it. So you're going to have to look at the data and try it both ways and see which one's going to be. Use the one that's not going to drive you like the most nuts.
Okay. I've been on the phone with, I pulled the list for probate. And so I've been calling those ones. And I wanted to try to go on to the pre-foreclosure as well.
Okay.
So
just remember, you're wearing different hats with these types of phone calls. So the foreclosures kind of a little more direct to a point because you got to find out where they are in the process. And probates, honestly, it doesn't really matter where they are in the process. Like in probates, once again, same thing. If you catch them sooner than later, you usually get better results. Because at the end, the lawyers all convince them, like, wait till the probate's done, then you can sell it for full retail. So if
Okay.
you wait till the end, then you're just competing with retail people, and we don't do that in wholesaling. I don't want to be the highest bidder. So
Okay.
I like to catch people like, listen, somebody passed away. Um, I've done probates. Listen, I've dealt with this in my own family. There's like, I'll be honest with you, when my mom passed away, I can't walk into the house. I literally can't walk into the house. I just,
That's how it was
time,
when my grandma passed away.
right?
We kind
It
of
just,
just decided who's going to buy the house, and I
yeah,
was like, I can't, I can't do it.
no. So like, yeah, I don't want to give the house away, but like it just, and I've bought from a lot of people, and like when the day came around for me, I'm like, so like, hey, you're gonna go buy mom's house? I'm like, I can't, like, I can't.
Yeah.
It's a home to me, and I can't do that. So understanding that within probates, and the biggest thing I can tell you, probates, just be really patient. Like, just be, if they light you up, understanding they've got a lot of pain and hurt,
Hmm.
and just say, listen, I'm just here to help. Is there a better time for me to call back and stuff like that? With foreclosures, I'm a little bit more aggressive. Like, where are we at in the process, Joe? Like,
Yeah.
tell me. And
So when,
honestly, like I told you, and if they're in complete denial in the foreclosure, like they don't know what they owe or anything like that, some foreclosures people put down like 3 and 5%, and they don't make payments for 6 months. It's like how am I going to wholesale that house? Think
yeah.
about that. You might be able to do a creative financing situation, but now you got to make up 6 months payment, and that might cost you 10 or 12 grand. So like, where are you going to go with that? I see a fish tank behind you. I like fish tanks.
Oh, yeah. I got everything around me. They won't die. My fish won't die.
Oh my gosh. I got to do a fish rescue for my dad tomorrow. So what other
Um,
questions you got?
just on the probate. When I call them, do I just act like I don't know anything? And that's how I've been approaching it. Just like, are you the owner?
So you got to do what resonates mostly within you, what you
Okay.
naturally do. I have found when we do, if you want to do warm calling, which is what I tell you to do, is I
Mhm.
just call and see if they have interest in selling the property, and let them spill. Sometimes in probate, they won't even like share it with you. And
Okay.
honestly, I'm okay with that because people deal with grieving in different ways. Some people are very business oriented and like they just like don't have emotions. Other people will cry till you turn blue. So whatever you're comfortable. In a letter, you can confront them with it. Like,
Hmm.
it's not as hard. But on like a warm call, I would never do it. Like, we don't do it. Hey, I noticed your grandma died.
Yeah,
Like,
no, I'm not
how do you
comfortable
think
doing
that
that.
call's gonna, so it's counterproductive when you do a cold call. Say, and just say, "Listen, hey, are you the owner on 123?" Yes, yeah. Or, "Oh, my grandma was," and like I kind of go into it. I go, "Do you have any interest in selling that property?" And I just shut up. And like 95% of the stuff has to be sorted out in the first two questions.
Okay.
Are you going to be on the
That's
phone forever? So I wouldn't confront them because you're going to get hung up on most of the time.
Yeah, no, that's kind of how I've approached it. So
Mm.
I've only gotten one response, and it was I weren't ready to sell yet. But
Yeah. And so that, by the way, guys, probate's not one where you get like 50, 60 calls a month. Like, you get a couple, and sometimes you get five, sometimes you get zero. And that's just, if you play the game every month and you're patient, you will get one. Like, it's just, we don't do a ton of them, but when we do them, they're massive. They're like doing 6 to 7 other wholesale deals for us. And they don't cost us a lot of money. And honestly, you could work 2 full-time jobs and easily do probates in your sleep. You can make a
so
living off probates alone. The problem is you have to be patient. The reality is most wholesalers are the least patient people you'll ever meet, including myself. But I just sit down and learn how to do it. And it's just like, so when they go, "Hey, I'm not ready," go, "Listen, I get it. That's fine with you. Um, when's a good time to check back into you?" And just leave it. And a lot of times they'll come around, and if they want to just go, "Okay, I want to move this house early in the stage. I don't want to do anything," you're the perfect fit. If they want to take it all the way to the end, let them do it. Like, they're probably going to do you a favor. Like, they have the right to do it. It's the family's house. And I don't want those houses. I want the one person that says, "Listen, I just can't deal with this house right now. It's too much."
yeah,
And you try to give them a fair offer. You don't try to steal it from them, but they understand it needs repairs. You're gonna have to like do a lot of stuff with it. And they're perfect for wholesaling. They're usually vacant. They're deferred. There's deferred maintenance, and they're easy to show. You don't get, so they're a little bit harder to penetrate, but on the back end to sell, they're literally the easiest type of wholesale deals you can sell because 70% of them are vacant, at least in my area. And they're a lot of them are out of state owners. So they're like really easy. So I can usually get a higher bidding price, and I usually get a better price because they want to get it done. And then you get a lot of flexibility. They don't care if you close it in 60 days or 6 days. So What else
Well,
you got?
cool. That's it. Just gonna keep grinding, you know. I'm
Yeah.
trying to
So
get more and more.
just make sure that you wear two different hats when you do foreclosures versus probates, because they're two different types of clienteles.
Yes.
And guys, remember, when you deal with someone in foreclosure, they're not going to tell you in the first 30 seconds how screwed up their life is, even though it is. It's just, I've known really good people that wound up in foreclosure. It doesn't take much to get into it. Okay. Banks know how to lend, and they lend just enough money where they can recoup it and get all their money back. So if you know that going into it and you understand it, just don't judge them when they do that, and you'll do good with it. So, okay, Rebecca,
Right.
let me know how
Thank
it works
you.
out. Okay.
All right.
Awesome. Okay. I'm going to bounce over to Justice there. You there? Can you hear me? Okay. He's working on his volume while he does that. I'll check any. Oh, Lord. Always get a spammer here. Good Lord. Sorry about that, guys. Apparently these bots. Um, well, okay. I can't hear you still, Justice. Okay, I'm going to come back to you. Look at it. I'll come back to you after the next one, okay? Okay. Anthony, you there?
Yeah.
All right, we got volume. Justice is working on his volume there, but it's I can't. I'm good at stuff, but I'm not a lip reader. If I was, I'd be an amazing husband. But I told my wife I wish she could just read my mind and make my life a lot easier. So, what can I do for you?
All right. So I've got a. Also, I asked Zach on a previous live stream
Okay.
about JVing, and since I'm 16, I can't sign any legal contracts. And he said as long as I get a price set up,
Mm-hmm.
it'll probably be 50-50.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering. I looked at the form, and I don't have any contracts or anything like that. How would I fill it out then?
So here's what you can do. I do this all the time. When Zach was young and he worked with me, as a learning lesson, I would have him put the contract together and have the seller sign it, and then he would bring the contract back to me. And that showed me he learned the process of 10. Like, remember, yours is just a little legality issue, but everything else is a formality. If you're comfortable doing that, I don't want you to do something you're not comfortable with. But if you do that, then our team can take it to the finish line as long as it's a deal. The reason why we want you guys to have a contract is because I've tried it the other way. I got to get like 500 submissions to even get one deal work. And I got to pay like 3 people a lot of money, and it's not cost effective. So if we can get the screening process out of the way and I put it on you guys, the idea is if you learn how to identify a motivated seller, how to work with them and do basic negotiation to the contract, we can help you get it to the finish line, get a buyer, and get it working. But if we don't do that screening process in the front, it's just you guys get upset because I can't even get through all the deals. So if you're okay doing something like that, that would help us out because it shows us your intent and it shows us the seller's intent. And then what I can do is either me or Zach or somebody on our team can sign the contract, making it legally binding and walking through it. But if we're going to do that, we got to kind of walk through that process of doing it. So you got to show us something on your side that we can actually have a deal that's going to work. And then what you can do is at the support at Flip with Rick, you can put just put your name on there, pending contract per Rick, and I'll make sure it gets walked through and looked through. But that's one way I do it. I mean, the problem is if we have to do all the work, like the 50-50 thing, like switches quickly. I'm open to doing those deals, but I don't want to get you guys upset because I need your help. The main thing is if you guys can find motivated sellers and you can just use the techniques me and Zach teach you, then we can help you bridge the gap. And the beauty is we teach you how to do it once or twice, and then you can do this on your own like forever. And then maybe you do it the first year or two like that. And then by the time you're 17, 18, you have all the confidence in the world to take down as many contracts as you want.
All right,
So
definitely.
you just got to show me something on your side, the intent. How you want to do that, it's up to you. You don't even have to do the contract. Give me either like a voice recording or something like that. But understanding it's like, if I get 500 deals submitted and we got to spend 45 minutes with the seller and then 20 minutes with you, it's like pay someone by the hour. It gets really expensive. It's just not, it's
Yeah, it's not
cost
worth it.
prohibitive. So if you can show me and like stand on a platform and go, listen, I got a great deal here. This is my only issue. I'll overcome it for you. That's easy. Okay. The hardest part is getting and connecting with a motivated seller. So I just want to make sure, like, just make sure you have a good deal when you do that. And people always say, Rick, how do you know I have a good deal? My old school comment, I'm old school, man. Like I'm like Zach's a little bit different to me, but he is my son. So he has the same blood. I always tell people if you have to whip a calculator out this to buy a property wholesale, or you have to use a fancy like software, you're probably paying too much. The software will never fix your problem what you buy it for. I bought properties when honestly I had to go to realtors and get the numbers, and I knew I was still guessing to a point then. Software is still guessing to this. Find a way to get the intent if you want to email, and then just send an urgent notice in the top tab. And please, everyone, don't send an email like Anthony. But honestly, Anthony's already talked to Zach. And if you want to do that, that's easy to overcome. I did this for my son. And honestly, you give me a 14-year-old kid that finds a good contract, I am more, if it's a $30,000 deal, I'll give him 15 grand. My name's on the line if I don't pay him. You guys would tear me apart if you did that. So can you do that?
Yeah, that can work. So just like a recap, if I got like at least them to sign a contract or someone
Yeah.
recording that agrees on a price, then it could work.
Yeah, just say, listen, so the only thing that you have to just make sure the contract's assignable so we can switch companies, because for me or Zach or anybody on my staff to sign it, they have to sign it on the legal authority of a company. So we would stick one of my companies in there, which is not our normal standard practice how we do it, but that's fine, because we can easily switch that out with an addendum or and just assign it over. And just sign it. And here's simply I said, I go, listen, let me get it signed, and I'm going to meet with my partner in like a day or two, and I'll get it right back to you. That's how Zach did it. He goes, listen, I just got to bring it. He used to say my dad, of course, but like a lot of you guys just say, hey, listen, my partner, because if we do the deal together, we are a partner on it. So it's like legitimate. I just need to know when it's coming so I don't tie you up. So especially if you're going like tonight or tomorrow, like go through the weekend, I don't want it to get caught up.
Yeah, I talked to her today, and
Okay.
I told her I'd get back with her and maybe we'd meet up sometime to look at her house.
Did you want to walk through the deal and like try to explore it? I mean, I'm here. You got me on. You got any questions about it?
Sure, I'll explain it a little bit.
Okay.
So I'm actually kind of excited about the deal because I feel like it could be really profitable. It's a 8-bedroom, 3-bath, 3,500 square feet.
Okay.
Riverside. It's by river. It's 1875, so it's an old house, but it's had a bunch of renovations. It got like a whole renovation in 2015, and what the owner said is that it just needs a little bit of painting, and there was a water leak, like a year ago, but she hasn't looked at the property since winter, so she's like a little iffy about that, and maybe like redo a few bedrooms,
Okay.
and it's a Zillow for sale by owner. So
Okay.
and she priced it at 299,000, and she said she'd like to keep it relative around there. So I could probably bring her down, a decent amount.
So I assume the house is vacant, right?
Yes, it's vacant.
Okay. So remember, what people suggest for a price and stuff, like take it in, but like do not let it be your guidance for like what you need to offer. Remember, that's what's in their head. Remember, if I tell you, go, hey, listen, you want this cup? It's $5. You're like, okay, well, what if I give you 4? I'm thinking, I go, well, I only bought it for 20 cents. If this guy's going to pay me for it, I'll take it anyway. So you still got to look at the comps and kind of know where the target numbers are. A lot of times when you go out and somebody looks at the property, like stuff doesn't add up, and you really got to think on your feet and like negotiate with people. So have you heard the technique go for no, the one I teach?
Yeah, I saw that.
Okay. It's critical. So many people are scared to make an offer because they're going to get rejected. I do it the opposite. Your goal is to get rejected.
Yeah,
Because when they reject you, you know where the bottom, like you know where their bottom line stance is, and you can get it out of the way. 299, that's like the best case scenario if everything worked out perfect in the world. And honestly, I said, listen, if you do a realtor and you paint it and you do everything, maybe you will get that.
Mm-hmm.
But like, listen, I'm looking at something a little bit different here. But like, and then you go good cop, bad cop. Don't shoot me or anything like that.
Yeah.
But like, what do you need to get for this property? Just so using the word ask and need is like two different like programmings in your head.
Got it.
So just make sure you do that. The worst she's going to do is like go crazy on you. Go, listen, my partner's a little bit nuts. That's why I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
And then I go back, but realistically, what do you need to get for this? Because this looks like a project, and just go for that. You want her to reject you in the first one, and bad. Okay, it's kind of counter-opposite of how like we operate with people, but you have to, because you have to get the lowest price for me to be able to sell it for you. If you get like a super tight price, you could waste your entire time. So somebody put in the comments here, I have a property under contract and I can't get any buyers for it. You just paid too much for it. Like that's the truth every time. So you're better off having that difficult conversation up front and then go, okay, now I'm getting paid. Because when you get that difficult conversation over, you have green pastures afterward. If you have an easy conversation, you have dense forest wood to go through and it sucks. I've done it so many times. I'd rather have the conversation with the seller than the buyer. Because when I get to the buyer, I'm a robot when it comes to buyers. This is what I'm offering it for it. It's take it or leave it. And occasionally I miss and then I have to adjust. I'm not looking to build rapport with buyers. It's a transaction.
You don't need to.
It's a seller, whole different story. So go out there, go for the no, get the best price you can. I give you a technique. You can put it under contract and then just bring it back and have your cash partner sign it.
All right.
Okay.
Also, I got one more quick question. Sorry, but
okay, shoot.
She said she wasn't 100% comfortable and she wanted to get a realtor involved for the closing.
Yeah. No,
So
that's a no-go. Yeah. You got to immediately just shut it down. You can't afford a realtor. Like she's got to have to pay for it.
Mm-hmm. So just kind of bring that on her because she's uncomfortable with it. She owns it for a while and she just wants to get rid of it, but she doesn't. Really
what is she uncomfortable about?
I think she's just in completely unknown territory. She said she had it for a while and her mom was living in it, and then when she passed away, it just kind of been sitting there. Yeah. And she put it on Zillow, and I'm one of the few people that's even come up to her on it.
Yeah. Realtors don't know how to solve those issues.
Yeah,
they're going to put some crazy price on it, and she's probably going to go through a 3 to 6 month journey. And in the end, it's like what she walks away with. So, like, we can list it for anything, but if the house has the issues you're talking about, I don't think a realtor is going to be a really good fit for like an old house that needs repairs that's vacant. Realtors hate that stuff. Mm-hmm. I tell you, I have realtors like every now and then we throw one on MLS. I'm talking about like decent houses, just a little bit rough. They write monologues, and I tell them, fix her up or come and get it, cash only. And the comment section, my realtor, which is my wife on this, she'll show me. She goes, the lady wrote a 4-page thing of like, how dare you offer a house like this? I'm like, realtors just don't get it. 90% of them don't get it. I don't want them looking at the property. There is some that get it, but for the most part, understanding one, you have to kill the realtor thing. It will never work. It's going to be a disaster, and you will not have control. And then if it's a good realtor, she's going to have their friends buy it. And honestly, if she's not if she doesn't work with cash buyers like yourself, then it's going to take forever. So I say, listen, we can do this in a reasonable amount of time. You know what you're going to net, and the deal's kind of over and solved. So the reality is you're offering speed and convenience and finality. The realtor she's going to walk into the unknown world, which I think is going to make her uncomfortable. But remember, you can't make her do it. And if the realtor does it, I make the realtors hang themselves with the price. Oh, I'll list it for $349.9. I can tell you what, I can't compete with that. So if you want to take and list it for $350, do this to protect yourself. Have the realtor listed it. The realtor said they're confident. Oh, yeah. Okay, we'll sign a 30-day listing. No more. They'll never sell it in 30 days, ever. And after 30 days, give me a call. Every time when I do those deals, they always come back to me. I don't fight with the realtors anymore. It's a waste of my time. But on a house that's ugly, it's got issues, and it's old, I'm not even worried about it because the investors are going to beat it up when it goes on MLS anyways. So, and remember that she got to pay all the realtor fees, and what's she really going to make when it's all said and done?
Yeah.
Don't let her price control what you're going to pay for it. It's just a suggestion. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
So take it in consideration, but don't let it be the barometer of what you offer, because I have no idea if that's the right price. So look up your comps. There's a million tools. You can do it for free. You use PropStream. It doesn't matter. And just go for it. Okay.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay, Anthony, get it, man. Okay. Justice, we got any volume?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Oh man, yeah, clear.
Oh,
Man,
sweet.
it's like
Thank
you're a
you.
DJ, man.
I appreciate you coming back to me.
Where are
So
you
I just had
located?
I'm actually in Milwaukee, so I'm just local wholesaling around here right now.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I have some good friends that live in Milwaukee. I've never been there.
I mean, it's a nice city.
All I
It's
hear
getting
is about
better.
how brutal your winters are. And
Oh,
I tease her every time, every January, February. I'm like, I'm out in the boat. I had to put a jacket on. It got like 74 today.
mhm.
She's like,
You
I'm
know, I,
plugging in my damn car. She's like, you don't understand. Just to go from like the house to the car in the garage, it can be a
yeah,
painful experience. I'm like,
yeah,
and I've
very.
never experienced that. I would
Hmm.
probably, dude, I wouldn't make it, dude. I remember when
Nah.
I was in high school, I used to play football and it was cold out. I'm just like, oh my God, and it doesn't get cold in Florida, but it'd
Nah,
get like
no.
50 degrees and it just hurt. So when you guys get down to like sub-zero crap, I don't know
Hmm.
how you do it, man. And I know real estate, it
Uh,
changes the game too. So, and it gets a little bit slow over there, but you guys have
mhm.
like a really good market. I know it's getting a lot busier. There's a lot more people entering into
Yeah.
it, but
Mhm.
she does phenomenal over there. Like you're in
Yeah,
a
I've been
really good
trying pretty
market.
hard. I've been in it for about, I don't know, going on a month now. And
Well,
I don't know, I've
listen,
been
if
learning
you
a
if
lot.
you have a deal there and you want to work with someone, I've got like
Mhm.
deep connections there, like really good
Okay.
connections, like
Have
10 years
have
plus.
Do you know a guy named Santi at all? Because he's one of my like main friends that got me into it, and he watches you guys. So I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
No, I don't
No,
see. I don't have the
no,
photographic memory like
no.
my son.
No, no
I'm getting
worries.
like Alzheimer at my age, and my ADHD
Yeah,
like affects it.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
honestly, though, if you ever think about like JVing with us, I'm just telling you, we have a solid like cash buyers list there, and like my deals are straight up. Like I don't play games. It's like okay, if there's a $20,000 profit, we split it, and in return, you get a little bit more insight with me, and you confidently get the deal done. And then honestly, you spread
Mm,
your own wings. I don't care. I
okay. Yeah.
don't
No,
charge
I will
anybody
definitely be
for
taking
this
you up on
stuff.
that.
So people are like, hey, you offered a JV program. I'm like, show me someone that does it legitimately across the board where they're not going to snake you in the grass.
Yeah.
And I'll wait because it's like, I look at this other gentleman, a really nice guy, but he charges $1,000 just to submit a deal. And
That. Yeah. I don't. I can't
they
do
take
that.
1 out of 100. I'm like, that's the easiest way to make 100 grand, isn't it?
Mhm.
Like you
Mhm.
don't need to flip properties, just like, and that's,
No. Just get
and
the
you guys
offers.
understand, like most of the coaches like that you all think are like rock stars,
Mhm.
they're making millions off the coaching and they're just going out and buying all the real estate they want because like
Yeah.
when you're making that kind of cash flow off like coaching, like you
Mhm.
can artificially look like a rock. Like I don't care. Like it's a free country, people can invest, but like read through the
Mhm.
lines, people. Me and Zach are the only ones that don't charge for anything we do, and we offer a JV partnership. And I've heard about some of these other programs. Somebody called me the other day. He goes, I did a JV. He goes, but I wound up getting like 35% when it was said and done. They told me they're going to split it. And what they do is
Damn.
they throw in all their BS fees in there.
Mhm.
I'm telling you, we're 100% transparent. We go, hey, this is how it works. So I just did um, two a couple of weeks before. Guys like, you really gave me 50%. I'm like, I did. He goes, you guys kind of did everything. I go, I know. I need your help more into the next time. So, anyways, what can I
Yeah. No,
help you
I
out with, man?
appreciate y'all for that. I
Yeah,
appreciate y'all for that a lot.
you're in a
As
really good market. You're in a good market. So, like, I would have no problem other than the winter time.
Mhm.
Like, I bet the summers are amazing there. Like, what's the temperature outside today?
Right now it's maybe in mid 70s right now. It's really nice, but it doesn't feel hot at all. It's pretty cool because there's a breeze and stuff,
It's
and the clouds,
terrible.
blue sky.
It's like hell in Florida right now, dude.
Oh, I know.
95,
I used to live
sticky.
there, so I know
We're
without
in
a doubt.
Florida.
Volusia County, like where
Oh, yeah, I know.
Delavan or
Yeah.
not Delavan, Orange City and stuff like that. So
Okay.
yeah. But okay, so I guess to start off real quick, for the probate list, would you go through PropStream or would you just pull it off of the government list? Because I mean, I know people have been talking about that, but in your opinion, what's the best?
So it all comes down to how much stamina and time you have. So
Uh,
you'll never beat the county list from the courthouse because
okay.
that's where all information disseminates from. So
Mhm.
if it's not too much and you can get it, it's going to give you the most accurate information. The only advantage of that one is you usually get it before anybody else does.
Okay.
When you
Yeah, it
go
was
through,
hard to find, but I figured it
yeah, no,
out.
it's a pain in the ass. But if you do the pre-probate option in PropStream,
Hmm.
it It works well. It's more of a shotgun approach because remember, every
Mhm.
property in probate doesn't actually go through probate. So the pre-probate just pulls people with a death certificate
Mhm.
and a cross-reference that they own a property through the property appraiser site. The value of that is a lot of those properties never even make it to probate because they're in trust, or they didn't qualify for probates. It depends on the laws in like each state. So the pre-probate can catch those. I don't pull the pre-probate every month. So
Okay.
we do it every quarter. We used to do it twice a year, and we're kind of always toggling between the both because we catch a lot of people that we wouldn't have got before. But it's a really efficient way to do it for like a single operator,
Mhm.
because some people don't have time to go to the courthouse and do all that stuff. The courthouse, you're never going to be able to beat that. So
Yeah.
in your case, I'd probably pick the courthouse strategy and then maybe 2 or 3 times a year pull the pre-probate and just do it however you're going to do. I wouldn't pull it every month because it's not updated enough to make it worth your while to do that. The same thing with the
Okay.
vacants. We do the vacants once a quarter. It's
Okay.
the same thing. Like 80% of the list is the exact same. So you're wasting.
Yeah.
So you get 10,000 leads. So I don't want to waste it. Guys, you got to understand when I started in this business, I used to work on like $100 budget to pull lists. It was brutal, man. I would go down to the county records, I would pull them, and then I would hire some Excel spreadsheet guy, which charged me a fortune to do macro and pivot tables and all the crap I didn't understand. And that's how I sorted the data. That's why you have all these software companies, not because of me, because most people don't want to go through that much crap to do it because it can cost you $500 to $1,000 to sort these lists. But once you did it once, you could figure it out. At one point, I tried to do a software company and I saw the cost. And after a year, I said, this is absolutely nuts. I am not, that's a full-time job. I don't want to do it. So courthouse is going to be the best information. And then maybe you do the pre-probates once a quarter or a minimum twice a year. And I think you'll be fine. And that's going to cover your entire gamut for probates. The challenge with probates is you go, okay, I got this one county mastered. And then you start adding other counties. It's
Mhm.
really hard to scale. It's
Okay.
hard because there's a different process for every county. And it's like, I don't understand in the same state. So we deal with 5 counties in my area.
Mhm.
3 of them are so brutal. Like I have to pay so much money for an employee to sort the information. It just drives me nuts. And then the other 2, they're like a piece of cake. We get them online. It's simple. So I could do them myself. The other 3, I would never even try to do it. Me and Zach would never even touch it. It's just too time consuming. So the
Okay.
bottom line is you have to sort out like, how crazy do you want to drive yourself? And you have to pick, okay? The better accurate information and the timely, I like to get to the probates first and you'll never beat the court system. I'm telling you why I like the pre-probate because it covers stuff that you normally wouldn't even find on the docket at the probate courthouse. So it does have some value,
Okay.
but they're far from perfect. But keep in mind too, it's hard to screw up a death certificate, though. Like that's a very permanent record.
Mhm.
Like it's not, nobody screws that part up. Now, I've had people in there, they have a death certificate and they don't own a property. So that's a little frustrating sometimes with it. But for the most part, it's about 95% accurate.
Okay. And then a couple of the next 2 questions are going to concern money, which you kind of already answered with the, hard lending, stuff like that. I might be able to ask a friend.
Okay.
The earnest money, I guess, if it comes down to I go with you for a JV deal, because I mean, I don't really have $1,000 to put down for earnest money right now. I'm definitely, obviously, as soon as I can get my first deal, I'm always gonna have that and make sure I have it. But at the moment, for my first deal, I mean, if I went with you to do a JV deal, would you be able to do that or no? Not really.
Yeah, hold on. I did a coffee mess here. I didn't put the floor on, so I'm dancing between this.
Oh, no problem.
Of course. Whatever. Shit. Hold on. I got to prop the table up so it doesn't come over here. So your concern is
Yeah, just the
earnest
earnest money
right?
deposit. Yeah.
Okay, hold on.
I mean, again, like my friend is most likely more than happy to help me out.
Yeah.
I just kind of like, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
So, listen, I'm going to be honest. When I first started out this business, I didn't even do deposits.
Okay.
A highly motivated seller just wants you to buy the property. Like
Hmm.
people who get obsessed with deposits, it's like it's
I've
almost
had
like it's like a baked in disease. So like sometimes like, because when I used to talk about I'll leave a $10 deposit, they're like, what's the point? Just buy it. I'm like,
Yeah.
the only the real validation for earnest money is to keep them in contract. Because here's what happens. Their neighbor will go, oh, he didn't leave a deposit. They're a scammer. They're like, he doesn't have the ability to buy the property. I'm like, okay, if I leave a $10 deposit, a $100 deposit, or a $500 deposit, how does that qualify me to technically buy the house if you really want to get down to it, right? Does it really make a difference? So unless you make earnest money deposit a major issue, don't make it. Like the first 2 years, I don't think I left one deposit. Not one. I didn't have the money. I didn't know what to do. Number two, another way around it is you usually have an inspection period built into it. So if you have somewhere between, the lightest inspection you'll ever do is 7 days. Like you never do less than 7. Ideally, it's 30 or more if you can. And you can make the earnest money. You can make it go live after the inspection period. So technically, you can get the EMD from your cash buyer. So, guys, it's how you word the conversations. The problem is you let traditional people in real estate, oh, we need an earnest money deposit. It's ridiculous. I get it, like in a wholesaling, because a lot of people have abused it for us. Like they don't leave any money and they never close and they never communicate. So just be responsible. Like if you can't make the deal work, get out of it like before the end of the inspection period or try to renegotiate it. But that's the challenge you have to do. So don't let the EMD tie you up. It's like easy. And honestly, if you got a smoking deal where you're going to make 20, 30 grand and like you don't have an EMD, if you can show it to me, I'll send it. I don't care. Like it's stupid. The money just sits in escrow. The homeowner doesn't get it. So it's it's such a freaking waste of money.
That's kind of what I was thinking, but
so like, but realtors really push that, like the whole NAR thing, like gotta have a deposit to make sure they're real. Do you think a $500 deposit is going to like make someone stick around? It's really not a lot of money anyway. So it's realtors like, you gotta leave 10%. I'm not leaving 10%. I'm in the process of buying something right now, and unfortunately I deal with a realtor like, you got to leave $100,000. I go, I left you a $50,000 deposit. Well, 100 seems more serious. I go, what's the difference? I still got to finance the other $1 million of this thing going on. You guys are tripping over nickels. This is stupid. And like, I had to finally just bypass her and go to the seller. He's like, no, I'm fine with it. I'm like, I go, you really think I'm going to walk away from $50,000? Like, it's the same thing. So use that strategy. It works every time. And then the idea is if you get in like, I tell you, I got in a few jams where I had like smoking money on the line. You will find them. Like she goes, you got 24 hours to give a deposit. I'm like, okay, just go get it. I don't care. Go work like a night shift doing something, like figure it out, because you're never losing your earnest money deposit. So it's never at risk. So you just have to put it somewhere. And even if you have to borrow someone, then go replace it with your cash buyer. Whenever your cash buyer comes in, your earnest money should be substituted during that time. So when you do an assignment, a contract, if you had a $500 deposit, part of the assignment, you can write it in there, is they transfer over the $500, and that way you can get your $500 back right away, and you can use it for other properties and keep moving down the line.
And honestly, the only time that's really, stopped me is because the seller did not want me to have any kind of inspection period whatsoever, but still wanted me to put down $1,000 in earnest money, which I honestly just passed on that deal. I don't know. It's probably something I could have done.
Listen, even the best deals, you got to kind of go, okay, we got to sometimes I walk away with such good deals. I'm like, okay, what is the seller hiding from me? Like I get this like anxiety of like, that was too easy. And like a lot of times we come up, we helped the guy out yesterday. He goes, I got a smoking deal. And my son goes, it just, honestly, it's a little too easy. I think you got a major issue. He went to the property. The whole foundation was cracked and sinking in. I'm like, dude, it's not solvable. Like, honestly, it's $100,000 fix to like, you got to drill under there. They got to put pilings. Like it's honestly, you probably just condemn the house and move on. And then they found out like 5 or 6 other wholesalers went through the property. And sometimes if it's too easy. So my brief football experience, when I used to play, I played nose tackle for a short time. God, I got killed. I wasn't big enough. As my coach used to say, if they let you in the line real quick, be very wary because something bad's coming. So usually a tackle's pulling from the side, and you get to like, oh, there's the quarterback, and then a 250-pound like grown man runs you over, and you're like, so then when you would lean in, like you learned, like if nobody blocked you, it means it's coming from the left or the right. It's the same
Yeah.
thing in real estate. If somebody lets you in really easy, listen, cross your fingers that deal works out, but you have the due diligence to understand that seemed a little too easy. I'm going to go ahead and put it under contract, but once I have it under contract, then I'm going to kick the hell out of the tires. And you've got anybody who doesn't want to give you an inspection period, it's just weird.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
why?
honestly
Are you
like everything you were just talking about exactly is how that went. Honestly, he gave me way
right?
too easy of a price, and yeah,
Yeah, I go,
yeah,
listen, I got to check it out. And then honestly, when they tell me everything's perfect, or they tell me everything's perfect and I know it's not, I see roof leaks, the AC's rusted, and it's like 85 degrees in there. I go, okay, well, I put it under this price. I'll double the inspection period, and then I'll come in with a contractor or even a friend of mine, and he just walk through. He's like, I go, the AC shot, the roof shot. Can you just say it out loud to him? And then right then I go, listen, I got to get out of the contract, or like, we got to renegotiate this. You're going to have to discount it no matter who you sell it to. So how do you want to do this? So sometimes I let somebody else break the bad news to them, but without an inspection, you have no room to do anything. And
yeah.
wholesaling really doesn't exist without an inspection period. It's just
Okay.
the main reason we do it is because we mitigate the risk.
Yeah.
So if somebody
Um,
doesn't want to give you an inspection period, guys, especially if you're new to it, just run. They're setting you up. They're letting
Okay.
you through the line, and there's a pulling tackle coming, and it's going to be problematic. So
Yeah. Yeah, he
I'm
was
not going to
definitely
take.
trying to pressure me too, saying that he had a bunch of people calling him and offering him deals. So yeah. My last question, which you guys, I'm almost positive you've made a video on. So if you
Okay.
want to just refer me to that, I can do that. But the guy that I'm gonna be meeting, the seller that I'm gonna be meeting on Sunday, said that he still owes $4,000 on the house. Is
Okay.
that gonna be creative financing? I know, like I've seen a couple of y'all's videos
Is
on
it
that.
4 grand towards the mortgage, or what's it for?
He owes it to the bank, so yeah, I believe it's a mortgage, right?
Yeah. So you just got to factor it into the deal.
Okay,
The biggest thing is someone's behind, like remember another 30 days, probably another payment's coming and another late
okay,
fee. So like time gets sensitive on it. So you can do a creative financing deal when like someone's, in my opinion, they got to be 6 months or less behind on payments, because you can do the numbers. Okay. If it's payments 1,000 a month and he's 6 months behind, that's $6,000 just to catch the dang thing up. There comes a point where the numbers don't work, because if the house needs fixing up, he's 6 months behind, and
mm-hmm,
the roof shot,
mm-hmm,
it can be challenging. So then you have to price it to where you can sell it to your cash buyer. That's okay. Taking all this stuff, the cash buyer is not going to care about the 4 grand. You just have to figure it in your pricing when you do it. But like if he's getting enough equity, most sellers are pretty sharp. They know what they owe, and they have an idea what they're going to walk away with. And you
mm-hmm.
got to try to meet that expectation. So, but if you talk about, guys, listen, the perfect creative financing deal, if you're ever going to do it, if someone's like a month to 3 months behind, it's a good, clean house, it's in a good neighborhood, it's good to go. Dude, the sky's the limit on those deals. Like you can
Okay.
get away with murder on them. And I don't mean that. And a negative thing is sometimes they don't want anything. Sometimes they just want a few $1,000s. You make up the back payments. They've got to be 100% cooperative, because you're going to be working for the next year or two to straighten out all the paperwork, because that's what it takes when you do a subject to.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can rent the house out. You can resell it. You can get an assignment fee. The money is in the financing when you get those deals, even if there's no equity in it, because I can get someone to pay me $15,000 to $20,000 premium because they don't have to qualify for a bank. So you just got to do the math. And the rule to the creative financing, I do it differently than most people. My life's not committed to creative financing. I like it, but remember, you don't know how much money you make till the end of creative financing. And that's what people like. A lot of people come back to a horror story if the property's not taken care of or the person doesn't make the payments, is whatever you put out in monies, you try to double back on your return. So if I had to pay $5,000 to get the mortgage right and maybe paint it, like just do a paint the front door or something like that, then I got to get 10 grand for whoever's going to take over that situation. And if you do those numbers, you can never get in trouble, in my opinion, in creative financing. Now, if you have a big war chest about it and it's not your money, you don't care about it, sky's the limit. I see people out there suggesting putting $30,000, $40,000 down on owner financing, creative financing deal. I'm like, you're going to have to wait 5 to 10 years to find out if you made any money. So
Okay.
everybody's a little bit different. They do it, but in the beginning, you don't have that money, so you don't want to be in a negative. So if you do that and you go, well, Rick, how am I going to make up the mortgage payments? You're not going to make them up. You're going to go find a buyer, get that money,
Yeah.
and use that money towards it. So many people get caught up like, how am I going to pay for this? Like, I don't have the money for it. Guys, it's not your money at the end of the day. You're just locating deep discounted deals and matching up people that really appreciate your services you do. So if they're 3 months or less behind payment, you have that option to do that. Because think about this. If you had to traditionally close on it and go get a hard money lender or like go get a bank loan, you're getting it for free there. So you just come up with a difference. Or you could go get a private money investor and go, listen, if you give me $5,000, if you give me 24 months, I'll double your money. Like I used to do crazy stuff when I started. And then I would go out and I would make 30, 40 grand in like 2 years. And then I would give him 5 plus the additional 5. He's like, that's the greatest thing you ever did for me. I didn't have to do a damn thing. So just protect your investors. That's the key, guys. You have to take care of them, whatever you promise. In the beginning, I made much more steep promises to investors because they didn't know what I was capable of. So I couldn't pay 5 or 10%. Like I had to go, listen, give me 5 grand and 2 years back, I'll give you 10.
Okay.
But I was making such insane profit, I could do that. But that's the only way they would believe in me.
Okay.
Okay.
Right, cool.
So it's, if there's low payments and the house is in a good spot and you don't have to fix it up, where I don't like creative financing and I don't agree how others do it, when the house needs massive amount of fixing up, 6 months behind, dude, cash that pig out, move on, man. Like they're bad deals. Okay. Because keep in mind, if you do it that way, you don't have to go out. You don't have to get a loan. Like you can control that property for the rest of your life if you want. It's amazing what you can do with it. But remember, the key with any type of creative financing, particularly the subject to, the seller has to be 100% cooperative and you got to kind of be like their last resort. Otherwise it doesn't work. So is that a cat in your lap there?
Yeah, I just accidentally stepped on him. So I had to pick him up real quick.
What's his name?
His name's Mac, like mac and cheese. So, yeah.
My daughter has a cat and I'm not really familiar with cats. We've had them for a couple of years, but it's a her and everything's on her terms. Like she'll let you know. And so most of my family's out of town, so I'm taking care of the cat. And it's like cat does they do some crazy stuff at night, man.
Yeah, no. Girl cats are feisty.
Oh my God. I had to, my cat knows how to open her cat knows how to open the door. So she takes a running start, grabs the handle and hangs. I'm like, I'm getting ready to reach for something. I'm like, oh my God, the cat's stalking me. The dog's freaked out. I'm just like, man, this cat's crazy. And she just wanted me to feed her. And I'm just like, holy crap. So I'm learning with cats. They're interesting. So
I appreciate
it. But I think I've solved your money problem. Like you guys got to stop worrying about money because you're going to get it from your end buyers. So like, that's the least of your problems. I'm going to tell you. So you're in a good market. Just keep doing what you're doing. Okay.
All right. Thank you. Have a good day.
Okay. Awesome, man. See you. Okay. Let me answer some questions on here and then I'll bring in oh my goodness. I am just getting us mamas. Okay. Hopefully you guys aren't seeing all that. So, let's see what else. Awesome. I appreciate Fabian. Okay. I got people on live. Let's just help them out here. So let me run around. Eric, you there?
Oh, hello.
Yeah. You're live, buddy. How you doing? Yeah. Can you hear me?
Oh my God. Thank you so much for answering. Yes.
Good, man. Uh-oh. Okay, Eric, hop back on. You disappeared there. Man, I made a mess, man. Guys, I'm not drinking any more coffee. I do these lives. It's bad, bad, bad news for me. So I think I got like a knee-jerk reaction on it. So, okay. Eric, hop back on. Oh, here you are. Let's see. You there?
Oh, hello.
Yeah, I lost you there.
Oh, sorry about that.
That's okay, man. What can I do for you?
Hi, yes, I had a couple of questions. So, like, basically, like, how do you do with like pre-foreclosure owners that like are overwhelmed? You know, I just got off cold calling like 5 minutes ago, and like the majority of the like owners are like pissed and like always leaving me on voicemail. Like, how do you approach that? I know you said through probate, it's like heartwarming, but like,
So you're talking about foreclosures or probates?
I mean pre-foreclosures. Yeah.
Okay. So they call you back, and what do they say to you?
They're like, oh, you guys keep calling me, blah blah blah, and I don't want to sell, and then they hang up. Or sometimes you're like, what do you want? You know what I'm saying? So,
Well, that's just so that's a cold calling objection.
uh-huh.
Okay. So the secret to cold call. So the best thing you can do, like right off the bat, have you gone through freewholesaling.com?
Yes.
You gone all the way? 'Cause
The
if you
majority,
don't, we could, yeah. So what you do is got to practice role playing and cold calling. The biggest challenge in cold calling is getting past that first 30 seconds. That's it. Honestly, if you get past like the first 30 seconds and you survive another 30 seconds, you're good to go. The biggest struggle why people hate it so much, and I have the same problem, is it's just like they beat the crap out of you in the first 30 seconds. So only ask the questions that are necessary and move on. Because if you try to shove everything down their mouth and you know there's like a 90% plus rejection rate, why take the time and fight with it? You have to find a way to find out, number one, do I have the right person, right? And is there any type of interest in them selling? If you can't qualify those two questions, there's no point in moving on a cold call after that. It's a waste of time.
Yeah, to see if they're motivated, right, to sell.
Correct. But like, think about when you get cold call, how standoff can you, like, it's everybody naturally gets standoff. Who is this, right? Who is this?
And sometimes they be asking me like, hey, what company are you with? And usually I just say, oh, I'm a local cash buyer that's interested. Like I try to just like, you know,
You're
dodge the
not a
question.
company because
Right.
if you answer you're a company, they're trying to disqualify you right off the bat. You corporations are all the same. You're greedy pigs. Like you're just trying to take advantage of me. And I go, like, listen, no, I'm looking to buy houses in the area. I saw your property pop up and I wanted to see if there was any interest. Is this a good time? And it's like, that's it. You're gonna get your teeth smashed. And this is one of the reasons I didn't do cold calling in the beginning, but I went deep in other sources. When Zach came in, I was like, listen, we suck at cold calling. You want to help me out with it? And he's like, yeah, that was back in 2016. And he went nuts with it. And he quickly identified, he's like, listen, if you can't get past these two questions, don't waste your time with them. Once you do that, then so many of you guys try to go through you try to fight with them and you can't fight with them on a cold call.
You're right.
Okay. Either they're open to talking to you, but keep in mind, when somebody calls you out of the blue, like you're looking to get off the phone as fast as you can and find an excuse for them. So don't give them an excuse to get off the phone with you. Okay. But do you want to talk to someone that has no interest in selling their house? Like, no, what's the point? Move on.
Yeah, just move on. Yeah, that's right.
No, you're going to get it. That's the norm. There's nothing you're telling me. It's not a surprise. You just got to suck it up and get through it. And don't waste your energy trying to sell people that don't want to be helped. Okay.
True.
Now, keep in mind, people that are in foreclosure, they're not going to roll over and call you, go, oh God, thank you so much, Eric. I'm a moron. I didn't pay my mortgage. Thank God you called and saved my life because my husband's a deadbeat and I'm getting ready to like move out. They're not going to tell you that off the bat. It's human nature. Everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, you know how Facebook works, right? Instagram, the whole damn thing's fake. Everything's like, for the most part, everyone's just going to show you their best, greatest moments. When you cold call, it's like the complete opposite. You are going to get crapped on. You're going to get crapped on hard. You have to prepare yourself and just go through it. And you got to treat it like a video game. Okay? Nobody ever wins the video game all the way out. Okay? So it's, you just got to get through it and muster through it. So it's common in foreclosure. So you'd be surprised. Eventually, foreclosures, they will switch over to you when they get closer to the auction. So you just got to find someone that will work with you in the beginning. So nothing new.
Perfect. Yeah. And do you recommend like any negotiation tactics? Like usually at the end, once I get like the condition and motivation, I usually try to close and say that I'll pay cash as in, and then I ask what's the best price they can do, and they usually say, oh, that's it. And then I try to come in like saying, oh, okay, well, I'll be happy to take care of the closing costs. Like, you know, would that be like the best price you can do? And they just say, nah, that's the best. So like, you think they're not motivated or they just want top dollar, you know? So like,
well, you got to, the motivation, you find that out. You don't want to find that out when it comes down to the price because you're wasting your time. Because when someone truly wants the highest price, the motivation's not there. Think about that. So honestly, you got to lose that last line because I don't teach that. You know, what's the best price you'll do? Like, it's so old, dude. Like, so here's the line I used back in 2003. You ready? if I paid you all cash and closed quickly, what's the best price you would do? Dude, lose it. It's like, it's too, I don't teach
Too
that in the
generic.
course. So go through the acquisitions part in freewholesaling.com and we kind of walk you through exactly what to say. But you have to qualify them, and go back and watch the beginning of today's video because I teach you how you qualify somebody in foreclosure.
Mm-hmm.
And think about it. You already know what their motivation is in foreclosure. The only thing you have to verify is the condition of the home and what they owe on it. Other than that, you can't ask the traditional 4 questions because it doesn't work in foreclosure. When do you want to sell?
Okay, yeah, you're right.
I don't know. I'd like to stay here till like the bank kicks me out. That's what they all say to you. So when you're doing a foreclosures, you're not using the traditional 4 questions. So the easiest way to qualify anybody in foreclosure is let them talk from the day they bought the house and their excitement to the point where they're talking to you. And it will tell you everything when you know, and you can guide the conversation through. Unfortunately, foreclosure, that can be an hour conversation and it's not fun, but that's the only way you're going to get to the problem and see if you can help them out. And remember, I tell everybody, no matter what, at the end of our conversation, I'll find a way to help you out with this. And you can. And maybe it's referring them to an attorney. Maybe it's to a realtor. Maybe it's getting them a loan modification, but like you're not going to win them all. And you've got to understand that. So you got to get rid of like some of the lines you're using. I can tell you're not learning it from me because I don't teach that stuff. Okay. You've got to, like, people are sick of being like suckered in this stuff. This is not about being a salesman. You understand that?
Okay.
It's about having a quality conversation and connecting with people. The Grant Cardone slick salesman thing doesn't work in this. You'll get one or two like that, but for the most part, people want you to be authentic. They want you to like know who you are, and if you're going to be fake around them and give them like BS lines, it's never going to work.
Gonna work. You're right.
So that's my suggestion to you.
I'll take that in consideration. Yeah, thank you so much for that. And like, I just want to ask you like a probate question. You know,
go ahead.
So like, you can't get a contract under a probate lead, right? Unless the executor or legal representative has the probate letters. Is that true?
You just need to connect with the PR, the personal representative or the executor, depending on what state you're in.
Mm-hmm.
They have the legal authority to enter into a contract with the property. That's your goal when you're dealing with somebody in foreclosure. I mean, in probate. Okay.
In probate.
Because once you have that, now you have some control. You basically have a legally binding contract, and a lawyer can't push you out.
Okay, but some people don't have full authority. Is that true? Like, you know, that some need to go to court. It needs to be through court, right? So
the authority is granted when they petition the courts to be the PR. So without getting it, like, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not here. What state are you in?
I'm like in one of the worst markets. I'm in SoCal, California, LA.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the best thing you would do is talk to like a local title company and just kind of walk them through the process, because I don't know every detail about California, and just get familiar with the process. But like, you just need to know who has the authority to enter into the contract. That's all you care about. Like, get to that one, and then you can solve the next step of it. Okay. The hardest part of probate is getting them to connect with you and making it work. So hold on one second.
Perfect. Okay.
I would just focus on finding a way to connect with the person that can legally enter in the contract, and you got to find out how to do that.
Ah, okay. I see what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, because you're like going down a lot of wormholes there. I'm like, so talk to a title company, because an attorney's going to charge you an arm and a leg, like, to ask those types of questions. So work with the title company first, and then kind of go from there. You just need someone with authority to sign the contract. Obviously, the deceased person can't do it. So you need to reach out to the person that's in charge of the probate, which is going to be the PR. Okay.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah. Thank you so much, Rick. And I want to appreciate you for doing everything, you know, and Zach too. So.
Okay, cool.
Thanks
Okay.
a lot.
Awesome. Okay. Man, see ya. Okay. So let me look at, Sunshine writes on here. It's a really good question is, hey, hello. She's in Southern California. She has got I'm assuming it's she, that's terrible. Whoever, he or she has a real estate license, but I love wholesalers. So how can I help? Oh my God, I got to read this again. I must be a misprint or somebody's punking me, but it says the realtor loves wholesalers. What do you suggest for me? honestly, Sunshine, like you're one of the rare exceptions. And if you truly love it, honestly, just go to like a local RIA meeting and be prepared. You're going to be inundated with people that want to work with you. I started out my career working with real estate agents to find properties that would not sell on MLS. And that's how I did like my first 3 properties. And I did really, really well. I had no idea what I was doing. Just a real estate agent would go, "Hey, I got this house. It's run down. It's terrible." And she goes, "If you buy it, do I get paid a commission?" I said, "Absolutely." And that's how it went down. And it was probably one of the easiest deals I did to date. I was scared to death, but it worked. So, but you got to be careful because a lot of wholesalers, I'm going to go on the flip side, is they burn realtors, like they use them. And I don't subscribe to that theory. So make sure you're working with people that want to protect your commissions and they understand the value you bring to the table. So I would go to your local RIAs, and then also you can go to Facebook groups and look for investor groups, and just be careful because you're going to get inundated. But you're extremely valuable resource, especially in the state of California. So I think that's awesome. So, okay, guys, let's see what else we got here. Uh-oh, I lost it. We're back. And let me bring up. Okay, who did I miss here? Jay, you there?
Hey, what's going on, Mr. Rick? How you doing?
Oh, Jay, long time no speak.
Yeah.
You were patient, so I got to bring the guy on, even though I dumped an entire cup of coffee, and I'm gonna have a fun mess cleaning this up. So, guys, do me a favor, don't tell Zach because he's probably listening. He's gonna run over to the office and chew me out for it. But he says you just drink too much coffee and do that. I go, you know what? I don't like to sit too long, and I don't want to do one of those standing desks for 2 hours either. So it's like kind of a constant mix. So, anyways, what's going on, Jay?
Yes. So the property that I asked you about yesterday, the mobile home, and I said the lady was asking for 180,000.
Yeah.
So I overlooked something yesterday, and reading is fundamental. I must have overlooked this. She was actually selling 2 properties for the price of one. One is a 2-bedroom, 1-bath. That's the manufactured home, and then the trailer is a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. She's selling both for the price of one.
Are they located next to each other on the same lot?
Yes, she said they're on the same lot. Yes.
Okay, well that changes a lot of it because
Right.
I go, man, 180 for like one trailer. I go, must be one heck of a trailer. So even in Florida, it's like we get that on the water here all the time. Actually, I saw one on the water for $750,000, a single wide trailer. It's the land that's the value on it, but
the issue now that I'm having is because I looked at some comps around the area. Unfortunately, around the area closest to her, the closest properties that have sold within the last 3 months for 2-bedroom, 1-bath within like plus or minus 250 square feet of her property.
Yeah,
they're only selling for like the highest I seen was like 48,000.
No.
But I figured I could get her a little bit more since she's selling 2 properties, but it still might not be at the price range that she wants it to be at.
Yeah, you got to make the math work. And I'm here to tell you a little tip I learned in the first 5 years of wholesaling. If you spend too much time comping, it's usually telling you something's wrong. Like wholesaling is not like a real, like, oh, I got a listing, get her the best price. Wholesaling should be like, okay, these houses are selling for 200 and there's nothing wrong with it. I can pick that one up for $140. It makes like, I don't have to do any math here. Like I'm not a rocket scientist, but I know I can make this work. And that's when people start spending. I had somebody goes, I spent 2 hours comping. I'm like, 2 hours? You got to be like kidding me. Like you could have ran like half a marathon in that time. You can't. So the longer you spend comping, the more you're trying to justify what you pay for it. And you're trying to find a reason to like make the deal work. And the only times I ever got trouble when I early started in wholesaling is when I tried to force the comps. I tried to handpick the comps and I was going to make this deal work. And boy, did I pay the price. I bought a property and I was forced to do a fix and flip only to break even after 6 months. And I learned my lesson. I'm never going to squeeze the math again. Sometimes the numbers don't work. The only thing that fixes that, just so you know, Jay, is time and circumstance. And so a big part of a wholesaler's leads are taking this type of person, You still make them an offer, but remember what they suggest. Don't let it influence on what you're going to pay for the property. Just go, okay, I got to. So if they ask like 400,000, it's only worth 100,000. I don't even make an offer because we're just wasting our time. Okay. If it's within 10, 15%, I can usually make anything work. I just got to find the right motivation. So a lot of people tell me, well, she suggested 299. I'm like, she can invest like 999. Who get the important thing is what you offer to them. Okay. We are not realtors by design. So all we can do is use tools. Comps are always going to be arranged. Everyone's looking for one hard comp to make it work. It doesn't work that way. It's always a range. It's anywhere from 10 to 12% should be the range. And then I like to take the highest one and throw it out, and I take the lowest one and I throw it out because I don't like, it doesn't make sense to me. And then I kind of look at the laws of averages. I'm like, okay, if I was a betting man, what could I sell this for? And you're betting with your own money in theory, because the worst thing you can do, in my opinion, it's not the worst thing you can do, but the biggest pain in the butt is getting out of a wholesale contract. It doesn't feel good. Nobody wants to go, hey, listen, it ain't going to work. Sorry. I screwed up on the price. So you're better off having a little bit of a lot of a confrontation up front and getting that price right and wait them out than making her, okay, I'll take that price. And then you got to go fight on the back end only to ask for a price reduction or get out of the contract. To this day, I hate it. That's the biggest challenge with virtual marketing. You have to get out of the contracts because you're not there, because a lot of people don't understand the real condition of the property. So do you know the condition of the property?
I need to call back and ask her. We talked about so much stuff yesterday, and I just literally just had a brief conversation with her right before you brought me on, and that was to confirm the whole 2 properties thing, because I didn't even know that she had a whole nother property. So now I have to have a whole separate conversation with her about the second property and get the condition of both and see where we're at.
So Jay, let me ask you: Are you like an analytical guy by nature?
Yes, 100%.
I can tell. I can tell. So it's good, but you're going to have to put a little bit of that part in check, because the fundamentals of wholesaling is finding people that want to work with you, that have some sort of issue that will cause them to make a quick decision. Okay. Gotcha. You're looking for that person. If you want to go analytical to analytical, it doesn't work that way. You can't, if there's not some sort of motivating condition, your odds of getting a deal statistically are going to be low. And I want you to understand that. So here's a rule. I don't put any energy into any wholesale deal unless I have a motivating factor, because if I have to crunch the numbers and analyze it, like I'm in the process of buying a building just for a commercial thing. And unfortunately, I had to sit down with financial people and go through everything. I mean, like hundreds of pages of documents, balance sheets, P&Ls, depreciation schedules. Like, what was my cash on cash return ROI? I was like, at the end of the day, I'm like, what the hell am I buying here? Like, I get it, but like I had to get like smarter people me involved. That's on the just buying real estate. The way we're doing it and teaching it, you have to have some sort of trigger to make people to sell to you. And once you have that trigger, then you can put on your analysis hat. Don't put it on until that trigger hits, because you'll spin your wheels and it'll burn you out in this business. Sometimes, guys, when people don't sell you a house, they freaking do you a favor. Okay. If she doesn't have, for some reason other than I want the money, I talked to someone yesterday and he says, well, he's motivated. He wants the money to fix up the other houses. I go, that's not motivation.
Right.
It's not greed, but like I get it, but that's like normal. Like, so just do me a favor. Make sure when you talk to them, like, don't spend energy comping and doing anything, and just say, listen, why would you sell such a, like, so here's a trick I use when people like start like talking a house up, which they do. It's a beautiful house. Well, I go, hey, listen, Gene, why would you sell it? It sounds great. Why don't you just list it with a realtor? I tell them every time. And then usually that's when they go, well, the roof's leaking and like, I really got to get rid of it. And if they don't say something, I'm really nice to them and I keep it open. Because remember, people don't always tell you the truth in the beginning either. So
yeah, I actually did hit that question with her. I did ask her, why not list it with a realtor so you get more for your dollar? And then she She said something along the lines of that she, like, her sister's a realtor, and it was kind of like a greed thing. Her sister didn't want her to like make more money than her or something like that. And I'm like, that makes no sense. But
So that's the biggest thing. So are you married? You got a partner, or I'm going somewhere with this. Don't worry.
are you asking me personally?
Yeah, I'm asking you.
Yes, I'm married. Yes.
Okay, so keep in mind when you deal with a wife, a girlfriend, or whatever, it's like, dude, like it's all emotional, like to a point. Like some women are down the business. Well, I love my wife. She's very like, you have to find that connection with people because that's what makes it work. So as analytical as you are, which I appreciate it, but like on wholesaling, you have to find that connection piece that go, oh my God, like holy moly.
Right.
And like once you get that connection, have you ever seen someone, have you ever done like talk to someone, you find out like that's an old friend from high school or something like that? Oh, hey, Jay, oh my God. They put their guard down. He goes, oh, let me show you how this works and I'll give you the best deal possible. You're doing the same thing in wholesaling. You have to penetrate it.
Gotcha.
I love that you're all like business and to the point, but I'm just telling you, you got to kind of reach and do some emotional strings because that's how you make money in wholesaling. Okay. The analytical side, it's going to benefit you huge down the road. But in the beginning, you have to turn on like more of the emotions. So if you got to get it like and dance with the girl and like fire it up, like I've done some crazy stuff to get deals, but I'm just telling you, you've got to pull on emotional strings and help people out. That's why they sell you properties at discounted because it's easy, because they feel like they're doing business with a friend and they don't have to work with family and get it done. If somebody simply wants to sell you the property because you're paying the most, you are not wholesaling. You're just buying real estate. So I want you to kind of look, the next conversation we have on the next deal, the first thing you're going to tell me is what the motivating factor is. Because once you have a motivating factor, then you get to run all over the place. It's really fun.
Okay.
But trying to analyze someone that's just trying to sell a property and get the most for it, and they got a wish list price, you're wasting your resources comping them. And I'm being honest with you because you're not paying me and I'm telling you the truth. If you paid me like a $10,000 coaching fee, I'd be probably like rubbing your back. Like you can do this, Jay. Like, I don't want you to buy a bad deal. Sometimes the best deals are the ones you don't do. It's just the truth.
Okay. And two more questions. The first one, you said that when you don't want to waste your time comping a property, right? So like how Zach was saying yesterday, how he can do the math in his head. When he's calling random people and he gives them an offer, he's doing some math in his head. But one thing I don't really see him do is he won't. I don't see him do like he won't run the comps. Like he won't look at the comps first to see like okay, if he's looking at a 3-bedroom, 2 baths. Is he looking at the other 3-bedroom, 2 baths in the area, seeing what they sell for, and then is he doing that math in his head? How was he able to do all that in his head?
So keep in mind, he's been cold calling for 5 years plus. So he's got an edge. So he talks a little bit advanced when he does it. But for the most part, in any time when you're dealing with investment properties, particularly wholesaling, because it's an emotional, like you're helping. Listen, you're helping somebody out. Like some people say we take advantage. We don't. We help people out. You have to have a litmus test to see if I'm going to spend time with this person, right? Mm-hmm. So it doesn't matter if you're dating someone like that. If you can't find like a commonality or something that like triggers it, you don't want to talk to someone for 30 minutes. Right. So like if I'm doing a cold calling and someone says, listen, now I'm not a cold caller, so I'm probably not a good person, but I ask people this, like, what do you need to get for the house? And they go, well, I don't know. I go, well, listen, if you did know, what would it be? I do the whole game. And sometimes they go, well, I think it's worth $200,000. Okay, well, what do you need to get it for in its current condition? And they're like, well, I need 220,000. I know right off the bat, we're going to have problems. Like you're going the wrong direction. And so you have to have a litmus test. Even if you don't know, they don't know, but like if they go, hey, it's 200 and they want 210, 220. Here's all I say to them, Jay. I go, walk me through this. How did you come up with that number? Right. And then they'll go, hey, my neighbor told me. And now I go, okay, now I'm dealing with a realtor and a neighbor. How much time do I want to spend with this person? If they say, listen, it's probably worth 200, but I can probably give it to you for like $150 because I want to move it. Okay, let's talk. Let's go in. And sometimes Zach does a pseudo, because remember, when you're doing it virtually, it's hard. Like if I go in your market, I have no idea what the values are. So I'm going to play around with that person to see if there's any type of spread room to go in. That's a technique used in cold calling. It's a little more advanced. You just want to see if there's intention that they will sell you a discounted deal. If they won't, I don't want to worry. If he says, listen, the property's worth 400 and I want 550, I'm like, how'd you come up with that number? That's all I'll ask him. And then I regret every time I say it. I'm not a cold caller, guys. But sometimes when I meet with a seller and they get so far off base, I'll tell them, how did you come up with that number? And I just sit back and they struggle. They go, well, so-and-so did this, or somebody told me that. And I just say, listen, I just don't think it's going to work. Like I'm to the point with them. So you have to have a litmus test. When I look at commercial properties, I have a basic spreadsheet. This is more the analysis. Like when they tell me their expenses are zero, I just don't buy the property. You're lying to me. You're just trying to pump up the NOI. So a good operation is between 35 and 45% expense ratio. When you have no expenses for 2 years, if you own a property or do anything, if you don't help it out, you don't paint it, clean it, maintain it, somebody else has to fix that property up after you. And I don't want to do that. So everybody has to have a litmus test. If you're cold calling virtually, that's the technique Zach has to do, because I'm not quick enough to pull up property values inside a PropStream while I'm doing it. That's just not my forte. Okay. I can't do it. I get distracted. Now, if I'm going to go on an exploratory call and they're doing that and they're saying everything and I think there's motivation there, I'm like, okay, let me pull up a computer screen. Now they'll give me 10 minutes of their time and I can make it work. And that's a lot of times what I do with it when I do that. And that's what Zach's doing. You understand? If he's got to make 100 cold calls to like virtual markets, he hasn't even time to look up the values. He's just trying to gauge if people will sell him a property at a discounted rate. That's all he's doing when he does that.
So when looking at the 4 pillars of a deal, so condition, time, motivation, and price, you want to get the motivation first before you talk about anything else, because you want to see if there's something there.
Dude, if that's what you get out of that's the most important part of wholesaling, because that's where the bread and butter is. The rest of the stuff, honestly, you already have. It's in your nature. So I got to force you to understand, look for that, because if there's not motivation, you're just
wasting your time.
Yeah. Like I'm being honest with you. Like, so it's like, you're going to get more time back. But what happens is these people that didn't work out, you put them in your follow-up in your CRM.
Mm-hmm.
Like right now I got 15,000 people. Like my staff constantly, we follow up, because 6 months down the road, they're like, yeah, you know what? I tried to sell it. Didn't work out. Can we talk again? And when they come around the second time, it's a much more humbled conversation, because they know they can't pull the wool over your eyes.
Right.
And be okay with them. Don't be nasty with them. Go, listen, if something changes, let me know. I'm going to check back with you in like a month or so. Is that okay? And they go, yeah, sure. It'll be sold. Don't worry about it, Jay. I'll have it sold. Dude, a lot of times you can look at the property. I go, you're going to put it on the market for that? I'm like, okay, knock yourself out. I don't even fight it. I go, you're going to hit a home run. I know it. Now, when it fails, you're in a great position if you can connect with them and do that. So, I had somebody come back to me after 4 years once. 4 years. Oh, wow. Because I had a really hard conversation. Like, listen, what you want, I can't do. It's your right. You can do it. But like I know I'm the buyer for that property. You're going to have to get a guy like me. I'm local. I understand what you need. I understand what you're going through. I want to help you out, and I have the team that can do it. But if you want to sell it for that, then go for it. But please call me if it doesn't work out. And I would call them every 6 months. And that was one I was personally connected to. I was in shock. But the really cool part is I bought it 4 years later for a cheaper price than what I initially offered for it. And the market exploded. And I made a 6-figure payday on that property. All because I was patient. But they were brutal, man. Like the stuff they asked me to do, I go, no. Can we live in the house for 2 years after? No, I can't do that. I just said, listen, I can't do this. I want to help you out. I know you need my help. I know what to do, but it's your decision. I respect it. Please let me know if time and circumstances change. And if you start having conversations like that, you free up, go spend some time with your significant other, and then just keep honing your skills, and then go find other people you can work with. Because guys, if you analyze every property, you will burn so much time and energy. Honestly, I never get to the comps unless I know they're going to even work with me. Gotcha. And then once I get within 10, 15%, then I can kind of have a conversation with them and I hit them hard. And then even then, Jay, I'm hitting them with a low number because I want them to reject me so I can get the best possible number. Because when I go to sell it, I don't want to fight with the buyer.
Right. And
here's the deal. Yeah, your analytic part on the buyer, you'll love it, because I don't want you to have a relationship with them. Like, this is it. You follow my rules, or you get off this phone with me right now. And if you buy them right, you can do that all day long. The problem is wholesalers are like, okay, I'll pay your price. We'll get a contract. And then they spend the next 30 hours trying to call cash buyers. They're like, dude, your price sucks. What are you, crazy? Like, and then you got to go back and you got to unwind it, or you have some legal ramifications in the contract, and the sellers get upset.
Yeah, and that's what I don't want to run into, like legal
No.
ramifications.
Listen, in the local market, I get out about like 2 or 3% of my contracts. It's only because someone's hiding something or lying to me, or there's a
Right.
problem we just can't overcome, like a massive lien. When you go virtual, you don't have that luxury.
Right.
Like a really good virtual market has like a 35% fallout rate. That's a good one. The average across the country is probably close to 60, 70%. That means we're disappointing 70% of the people. It's not good for our business. But
Right.
I understand how it works, because if I came to your market, Jay, I don't know what a deal is. I take numbers, and sometimes you're wrong. Some of the times the property needs $100,000 of repair. So there's stuff you can't control.
Right. Of course. Absolutely.
Got it?
Yes, sir. That's my question. Thank you so much.
Okay, awesome. Okay, guys, I appreciate it. And if I missed you today, I will be on live not Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern time, and I got a little bit more time there. So jump on there. I know I missed Ryan. I know I missed Zachary. I apologize. But come back on Monday. I'll be there. Guys, check us out on YouTube, the Rick Ginn, and check out my son's YouTube channel on Zach Ginn. And I will see you guys on Monday. Zach will be on Sunday night. He'll post the time on there.